It's homecoming here in the Steel City. After an early afternoon rainstorm, the skies over Acrisure Stadium have cleared for Youngstown State and undefeated Pittsburgh. The FCS Penguins looking to shock their regional rival, while the Panthers are gunning for their first 4-0 start in 24 years. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. On a beautiful afternoon here in Pittsburgh, it's Youngstown State out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference and the Pitt Panthers from the ACC. And welcome everybody, along with Forrest Connolly. I'm Doug Sherman. So glad you're here with us for this Pitt team coming off of consecutive heart-stopping come-from-behind wins at Cincinnati and here against West Virginia last week. They cannot afford, Forrest, to have any sort of letdown here today.
They absolutely cannot. This Youngstown State team, they keep the ball. Time of possession is a big deal for them. If you fall behind this ball club, it's going to be very difficult to get the ball and come back the way they have the last two ball games.
Pittsburgh has a running back listed at 5'8". He's really 5'6", but I'll tell you what, Desmond Reed really packs a punch.
Well, he reminds me of Darren Sproles. He's a guy that can get the ball outside and make plays in space. He runs behind his pads. He does a great job in pass protection, and he falls forward every time he gets the football. So for Pitt, they want to get him the ball often and allow him to be special this afternoon.
And there is Pat Narduzzi wearing a shirt and tie on a hot September day as a nod to his late father, Bill. This game means something more to the Narduzzi family. Pat played his freshman year at Youngstown State, his hometown school, back when his father was still the head coach, and his father was fired at the end of that '85 season. Pat transferred to Rhode Island, played 3 years of linebacker with the Rams. It's been 4 decades, but that still really means something to him for us playing the Penguins.
It definitely does. When we talked to him yesterday, he was fired up. He could not wait for this ball game. And, you know, I almost wanted to go out and play for him the way he was talking to us about what he wanted to do and how he wanted his team to perform.
Pitt won the toss and is receiving. Kenny Johnson back to receive. He lets it go over his head and through the end zone, and Pittsburgh's offense will come out at the 25-yard line. And that means the redshirt freshman from Zachary, Louisiana, Eli Holstein, making his 4th career start for Pitt.
Here's a guy, 300 yards in every ball game that he's played this season, and he's doing a good job of finding his receivers, keeping plays alive with his feet, with his arm strength. He spins the ball extremely well. We watched him in pregame. I expect him to go down the field early in this ball game.
He was rated number 29 in the nation coming out of Zachary High School last year. He went to Alabama, played for Nick Saban, although he never got into a game. Handoff to Derek Davis Jr. getting the start for a short game. But I tell you what, Nick Saban this morning on College Game Day was talking about his former quarterback, and he thinks Eli's got a really bright future.
And how awesome is it to get a shout out from Coach Saban on game day?
Short pass complete left side with blockers. That'll bring up a 3rd and 2. The captain, Gavin Bartholomew, picks up 5 yards. He's a senior from Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania.
And Bartholomew is a tight end. They talked about getting him the ball and what he does after the catch. They just want to get him the ball in space and allow him to be special on the outside. He's very difficult to tackle. On
3rd and 2, keep it on the ground up the middle, trying to be more physical than the team from Youngstown State. It's a 3-yard gain for Davis, the LSU transfer, and Pitt moves the chains.
And one of the things Coach Phillips talked about with this Pitt ball club is the pace that they go with on offense.
Holstein with a clean pocket, fires a strike out to the 45-yard line. Kenny Johnson, the sophomore from York, PA, on the receiving end.
And what this does, this prevents Youngstown State from getting subs into the game. And what Pitt is going to do, they're going to try and find the great matchup on the outside.
Elijah Montgomery Holstein. Trips to the top of your screen. Holstein gonna run for it. Got a hole to midfield before being stopped. It's a 6-yard gain and another Pitt first down.
And once again, you see Pitt getting up on the line of scrimmage, not allowing Youngstown State to get subs in. They're going to continue to line up and continue with this fast-paced offense.
Now through 3 weeks, Holstein has been racking up the awards. Going to run again, and he's got a lot of green grass in front of him. Inside the 20-yard line, the redshirt freshman picks up 31 yards.
And one of the things offensive coordinator Cade Bell talked about is their tandem blocks, the double teams, getting up to those second-level defenders because of how fast the Youngstown State linebackers flow downhill. So they have to keep their eyes up to be able to cover those guys up. And you saw that play, they covered them up, and Holstein was able to get through the hole and get down the field.
Holstein hands it off to Davis. And met immediately by Carry-On Martin, the senior linebacker.
And once again, you see the linemen climbing up, covering up those linebackers. And what they've been able to do is double those defensive tackles up to the second-level defenders, not allowing them to flow downhill, not allowing them to have a seam to find the quarterback. And Holstein did a good job of allowing the play to develop before he got north and south.
Holstein's got weapons. Kanate Mumpfield, number 9. Kenny Johnson, 2. Poppy Williams, number 5. Day Reynolds out there as well. He's number 3. Who will he go to here? Checks it down to the running back. Davis near the goal line. He's going to be down about 2 feet shy after a 14-yard pickup. It is 1st and goal, Pittsburgh.
And you see the maturation of Holstein on this play. It wasn't where he wanted to go at first, but you watch him go through his progressions and take the check off. That's what you do. Take the check off if you don't see it how you want it.
Flag down. It's a running play for a touchdown. We'll see if it stands for Derek Davis Jr.
And oftentimes when you run that fast-paced offense, you have a lineman that's not set. You have to wait till everyone is set.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's our referee, Justin Elliott.
And these are some of the things that you see when you're running a fast-paced offense. Everybody's trying to get lined up quickly to get the ball snapped, but you have to make sure you're on the line of scrimmage if you're at the end of the line of scrimmage. But once again, Holstein doing a good job of with the check down. You went through all of his progressions. Youngstown State did a good job of covering everybody up on the back end, so he went with the check down.
Now trips to the bottom of your screen. Backup tight end Jake Overman, a grad transfer from Oregon State. Number 87 into the ball game. 1st and goal from the 5. Little play action. Holstein overshoots his intended target. That is Overman. And that'll bring up 2nd down and goal.
And I thought Holstein could have held the ball just a little bit longer, allow him to clear. If Overman had a little bit more of an opportunity to clear and get closer to the sideline, I thought he could have led him a little bit, put a little bit of air under the football.
Here comes the 9th play of the drive. Holstein looking for his 10th passing touchdown already this season. He came into this week 4th in the country in touchdowns thrown. That pass deflected, incomplete. The Penguins bowing up here in the red zone.
And extremely interesting, they're continuing to go with the pass. They went with the play action right there. A good job by the linebackers reading Holstein's eyes. Preston Zandier did a good job of reading the quarterback's eyes, getting over into where he was trying to go with the football and getting a hand up.
It's a homecoming game for Zandier, a junior from right here in Pittsburgh out of Thomas Jefferson High School. And now on 3rd down, Pitt goes with its bigger back, Daniel Carter, number 4, a 6th year from Margate, Florida, standing next to Holstein. Rolling right, throwing. Williams was the motion man, and he walks into the end zone for a touchdown. TD pass number 10 on the young season for Holstein, and the Panthers are on the board first.
And a great play design by Pitt. They went with the motion, and Youngstown State got caught up in all of the traffic and was not able to get over there. The defender's trying to get there, but there's so much traffic, he can't clear the traffic to get over to cover him up. And you give him a little bit of space, Williams is going to get there. Nobody was there to cover him up. He basically walked in for the touchdown. Great play design.
And now Ben Sauls, the redshirt senior place kicker from Tip City, Ohio. Boots it through. He remains perfect on the season. And the Panthers on homecoming with a quick start. First possession turns into 7 points for the Panthers here on homecoming. Youngstown State head coach Doug Phillips in his 5th year on the job. A dream job for him. He grew up in New Middletown, Ohio, just outside of Youngstown. And as a kid would go to Penguins games. And as he was growing up, along with his parents, Pat and Glenn, he worked concessions. He popped popcorn at Fitch Stadium. And he even watched Pat Narduzzi play linebacker. And when we asked Pat Narduzzi yesterday about that, he wryly said he was already scouting me, wasn't he? A lot of ties that bind between these two programs and these two campuses that are only about 69 miles apart. Youngstown made the drive down on their bus yesterday afternoon, came right here to Acrisure Stadium for a walk around, then to the hotel, and now they are bringing their offense onto the field for the first time. Bo Brungard, a dual threat QB.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Pitt tries to attack Brumgard, try and keep him between the tackles. You don't want to allow him to get outside those tackles. I think that is where he's most dangerous, because now he has the option to run the ball or continue to look down the field to pass the football.
And Tyshawn King, the senior from Kankakee, Illinois, a 5'11" running back. We've got flags before the snap. NFL scouts are keeping an eye on number 10 in white.
Snap infraction. Offense, number 56. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So I'll tell you what, the center, Aiden Parker, didn't want his name called on television just yet. But he is the guilty party. So before a first snap, Youngstown State behind the chains with a 1st and 15.
And if you're the offensive line for Youngstown State, the one thing that you've got to continue to do is identify your blocking assignment, because Pitt brings everybody down here. They're going to play press man on the outside, and then to play 2 high safeties, and they're going to challenge you at the point of attack.
High snap. Brungard falls on it, takes a shot. All the way back inside the 5-yard line. They're going to mark it at the 2, so a disastrous start for this Penguins offense.
And this is not what Coach Phillips wanted in a ball game like this. You cannot have these types of plays early. It lets me know that they're nervous about what they are having to do as far as assignment football, because your center right now has had 2 bad plays. One, he jumped off sides. Next, he hikes the ball over the quarterback's head. But once again, as the center, you make the Mike call for the Mike linebacker. You are the one that helps the offensive line identify their assignments.
It'll be 2nd down and 33.
The previous play is under review for potential targeting.
And it was interesting that the way that they hit Brumgard, I noticed that they hit him, and it's be interesting to see when the replay officials look at that. Did he lead with his helmet? I think that's what they're looking for. Did he launch and lead with his helmet?
Well, it was one of Pitt's playmakers, Rasheem Biles, who they'll be looking at. We'll take a break and come back with their verdict right after this.
Thank you.
Rasheem Biles led the nation last year with 3 blocked punts. He is currently top 10 in tackles for loss per game. He's always around the football. No targeting. They ruled that he did not commit that sort of foul here.
Well, the first thing, the center has got to calm down. He's had 2 bad plays, but you see a terrible snap right there. Brungard is going to cover it up, and Biles is just trying to make a play on the football. I understand you want to protect the quarterback, but he's trying to make a play towards the football. Nothing on that play was gregocious. He was not trying to hurt the quarterback, or that was not something that you call targeting. So I like the call.
Hit at the goal line. Tyshawn King able to get out of the grasp of Nick James and get positive yardage.
And one of the things Coach Phillips talked to us about was the excitement about his offensive line. He's got some seniors on that unit. They were excited about this opportunity. But right now, they are not getting movement at the point of attack. They're in a very dangerous position with their backs up against the goal line. What you want to do here is be safe, try and get the ball out a little bit more, give your punter some room to punt the football, and try and flip the field.
Bo Brungard, a sophomore from New Middletown, Ohio, hands it off. Good surge out across the 5 to the 7-yard line. It's a 4-yard pickup, and that's about all you can hope for out of Tyshawn King.
Absolutely, and on that play, you're not trying to get the first down. You're trying to make sure you don't make another error. You're trying to put your punter in a position where he's comfortable punting the ball. He doesn't have his heels against the back end zone line. So that was a good job by the offense, just getting more room for the punter.
Brendan Kilpatrick will punt from his own end zone. Kenny Johnson, the sophomore from Dallastown High School, York, PA, who had a 100-yard return against North Carolina last year. Very dangerous. Stands at midfield. Has to give ground to the 40. Johnson makes the first man miss. That's a nice return to set up Pittsburgh with its second drive of the afternoon. Well, 2 weeks ago at Cincinnati, Pitt was down 21 late in the third quarter before a fourth quarter comeback for the ages. Eli Holstein to Kanate Mumpfield, a 38-yard touchdown. And then Holstein to Des Reed out of the backfield for 56 yards to tie things up before Ben Sauls would hit the game-winning field goal as time expired. Sauls earlier in the game had a 53-yard field goal. Quite a weapon for Pitt. Pat Narduzzi talked about the fact that he has persevered, and now as a fifth-year guy, a key part of the offense. Then last week in the backyard brawl, Pitt rallied to beat West Virginia in another epic performance. Pass complete to Mumpfield, the Akron transfer. Yards after catch, a big thing for the 6'1" senior out of Decula High School in Georgia.
And you see the arm strength from Holstein, throwing from the opposite hash across the field. A very dangerous throw, but a good job getting out to his playmaker Mumpfield and allowing him to make a play in space.
17-yard pickup. Give it to Carter up the middle. He's got a huge hole, and he's going to walk into the end zone for a touchdown. A 25-yard scamper for the 6th year from Margate, Florida. He is now 24 years old and always runs hard.
And watch the left guard and left tackle. A good job pulling, getting around the line of scrimmage, getting up in the hole and giving him space to get up the field. He basically ran through the hole untouched, but that's all because the offensive line did their job, opening those hips, getting around and getting up in the alley.
Over 6 years in a Pitt uniform, Carter playing his 54th game, and that is his 7th career rushing touchdown. So Pitt takes advantage of a short field to take a quick 14-0 lead.
The way this play is designed, the center is supposed to block back, the guard is supposed to pull out and kick out, and the tight end get up in the alley. But if you see on that play, the tight end could not get in the alley, but the back was so versatile, he was able to squeeze through a seam. And once he got to the second level defenders, because they're flowing downhill, there was no one there. So it's basically catch me if you can, and he gets to the end zone untouched.
Jawan Hall, Jaden Gilbert back deep to receive. It's Hall who's taken the place of the injured Latrell Fordham. And he gets out near the 20-yard line. Coming up tonight at 8 Eastern on ACC Network, Boston College hosts Michigan State in Chestnut Hill. Also available on the ESPN app so you can watch from anywhere. The Bill O'Brien era at BC has gotten off to a flying start. They will be supremely tested tonight by the Spartans. Penguins with their second possession from their own 19-yard line. Tyshawn King, the Northern Michigan transfer. He played 4 years at that Division II school all the way up in the Upper Peninsula in Marquette and has found his way to Youngstown State. Throw down the left sideline, has a man trying to make a juggling catch. Is Cyrus Trow. Donovan McMillan in coverage, but Trow couldn't pull it in.
And right there, you see Pitt playing a cover two. The safety has to do a better job of reading the quarterback, but also he has to keep his eyes on that outside receiver. Once the cornerback lets him go, he passes him on. That safety has to get over and cover him up.
Tom Zach in motion. Brungard. Nowhere to go. Tracked down from behind and dropped for a loss. Rasheem Biles with the tackle.
And one of the things Brungard is going to have trouble with is going east and west against this defense. They are coming and flowing downhill with reckless abandon. You've got to get north and south immediately. You cannot go east and west. This defense is too fast. They're not the biggest guys in the world, but they flow very well to the football.
Damon Lyman, the Nebraska grad transfer, the first in on that tackle. That was a 3-yard loss. And now 3rd down and 13. Ethan Wright, the Cincinnati grad transfer, on the field for the first time. The running back who stays in to pass protect. Brungard running for his life again. able to get out of bounds. But once again, the Pittsburgh defense making things tough on the Penguins offense.
And what they're doing at Brungard, they're applying immediate pressure. He doesn't have time to set his feet. Braylon Lovelace got around the edge. The offensive line, the tight ends have to do a better job of picking up those blitzing linebackers. Braylon Lovelace was able to get around the edge, basically untouched, and he almost ran Brungard down. Any other quarterback, I think he catches him, but we know Brungard is a very effective runner of the football. You saw him able to get to the outside, but was not able to get to the sticks.
Kilpatrick out for his second punt of the afternoon. The junior from Cortland, Ohio, stands at his own 3-yard line. Under pressure, gets it away, and it's a good one. Johnson retreats again back to the 25-yard line. Once again, though, Johnson doing a nice job of getting that yardage back on the return.
Remember, Pitt blocked a punt last week, and right here they almost got another one. Very, very close. The punter has to do a better job of getting that ball out of there, but he does a good job of flipping the field. I talked about it on the last series. He flipped the field with the punt. They had a great punt return to get it up to the 40, but he flipped the field again. He almost outkicked his coverage, how far he kicked that football.
As I mentioned, Pitt last year blocked 3 punts. Rasheem Biles all by himself nearly got another one there. Derek Davis, the running back with Eli Holstein. Davis gets the call on first down, and he's tackled at the 40-yard line. Stephon Hall, the junior from right here in Pittsburgh and a former Pitt Panther, playing strong safety. Got to be an emotional day for number 1. Also, Mike Wells, the middle linebacker, in on that stop. Quick pass to the tight end Bartholomew for very little gain. In fact, he lost a couple of yards. That'll bring up 3rd down at about 10. It's Hall once again in coverage.
And the coaching staff talked about Hall the first game of the season when they played Villanova. He was excited. He's a quiet, low demeanor guy, and they talked about the excitement, and it scared him a little bit. And they talked about this week and his preparation and his excitement to come and play in this football game. And you see early he's making plays for this Youngstown State ball club.
Holstein, all kinds of time. Now he's going to tuck it and run again. But he's not going to get there. Going to come up just a bit short of a first down. Looks like he got about 9. No, they're moving the chains. They're going to mark it a first down.
Did a good job at Holstein not trying to force it. Youngstown State did a good job of covering everything up on the back end. He had nowhere to go with the football.
The ruling on the field that the runner achieved the line to gain is under review.
Holstein's now carried the football 3 times for 48 yards, but is it going to be 3 times for 47 yards as they review this first down spot?
I thought it was a favorable spot, but I think he did get the first down. This is a better view right here.
Well, it was much closer than I thought. And on that replay that we just showed for us, I think he might have gotten it as they called.
And I think right now for Youngstown State, they've got to try and get a stop. They don't want this thing to get away from them too early, because right now it's not looking good.
After review, the ball carrier's knee was down with the ball a half-yard short of the line to gain. It's 4th down at the 48.5-yard line.
So it's now 3 carries for 47 yards.
Did you go for it right here?
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
And the offense looks like going to come back out. You figure we're the FBS school, you're the FCS school. We've had our way physically for the first 10 minutes of the game. Why not think you can pick up half a yard?
Now, if you don't convert, you change momentum a little bit.
But then again, the Penguins offense has had the football twice and has only gone backwards.
They've been so close to their own goal line.
Well, there's the first down, and plenty more for Derek Davis Jr. He was a top 30 recruit coming out of Gateway High School in Pittsburgh, went down to Baton Rouge, spent 3 years with the Bayou Bengals, came back to Pittsburgh last year, and he is a key component here this year. 14-yard pickup. Holstein Another clean pocket, then he gets dropped at the 40-yard line. Nice job getting off the block to make that tackle for Tyler Bucher, a senior from Valparaiso, Indiana.
Well, the left tackle, Branson Taylor, got beat off the edge. You've got to keep a square, your shoulder square. You see him open up that outside shoulder, and he allowed Hunter Allen to get around the edge. You've got to kick back. You've got to keep that outside shoulder square to your third kick step. Then you can open up and turn and run him past the quarterback's level.
Holstein down the sideline, has a man, and it's caught at the 5-yard line by Raphael Poppy Williams, his 10th catch of the young season. But a flag down at the 45-yard line. Will this play stand?
I wonder if they got the left tackle.
The ruling on the field is a completed pass. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 27. Penalties half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Andrew Centofanti, junior linebacker from Poland, Ohio, with the penalty marker. So the 34-yard pass play stands, and with the penalty, it's now 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Eric Davis scored the game-winning 1-yard touchdown last week to beat West Virginia in the final minute. They fake the handoff to him. Holstein tries to fight his way in, and he has got himself a touchdown. Martin one-on-one trying to stop Holstein, but the redshirt freshman QB found a way to get across the goal line.
And Holstein scored on this play, but Kerryon Martin did everything you could possibly do. He stayed with the motion man, not allowing Holstein to throw the football like he wanted to, but then he was able to change direction and try to keep Holstein out. Holstein did a good job of holding on to the football to the last minute, then making the decision to run it in himself. And you see the power by Holstein using that 6'4", 225-pound frame to get to the end zone.
This Pittsburgh team 3-0 on the year. They've already matched last year's win total. A win today would make them 4-0 for the first time since 2000. Ben Sauls with his 3rd PAT of this first quarter, 21-0 Pittsburgh.
Now watch Holstein on this play. He's getting out. He wants to go to his tight end right here, but watch. You see what Martin did was he stayed on top of the tight end, not allowing Holstein to go there. Holstein was smart. He didn't force it. He didn't try to force it. He held onto the ball. He planted that foot and got north and south. Then he used his size and his power to get the ball over the goal line, just over the goal line, to get the touchdown.
I'll tell you what, Eli Holstein has done everything that this coaching staff could have asked out of him. He arrived in Pitt from Alabama back in January, and by all accounts, he eased his way into the situation. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. He was well down the depth chart during spring practice, but he eventually, during fall camp, outplayed Nate Yarnell and has seized the role, and with that seems to take a bigger ownership of this and a bigger leadership role.
You know what's interesting about that? Nate Yarnell went to media day for Pitt as their starting quarterback because that's what he was when camp started. And as camp progressed, about midway through camp, Holstein started getting those first-team reps, and the coaching staff said when we looked at it and we analyzed it and we looked at what they were doing on the field, Holstein was head and shoulders above everyone else.
Well, these two regional rivals that are only a little over an hour apart, the two campuses. Pittsburgh has won 4 of the 5 previous meetings. Last time here in this building, it went to overtime before the Panthers won back in 2017. The only time the Penguins have beaten the Panthers was 12 years ago, 31-17. Panthers this year well on their way to handling their FCS opponent. And now let's see if the Penguins can get a little offense going. Their total offense is now minus 14 yards. Well, that's a little bit of positive yardage and then some by Ethan Wright, the former Cincinnati Bearcat. Pushes the pile out to about the 35-yard line.
And for the first time, Youngstown State is getting movement at the point of attack. They are the first to make contact. When you're the first to make contact, that's when you're going to get movement. Those offensive linemen have got to fire out with a flat back, have good hand placement, and be violent with their hands. That is the thing that I saw on that play that I hadn't seen up to that point.
9 yards on the carry by Ethan Wright, who was actually recruited to Cincinnati by Doug Phillips. Now his head coach at Youngstown State, back when Phillips was a UC assistant. There's Tomczak with his first catch. And our first down of the afternoon for Youngstown State, a 9-yard pass play from Brungard to Max Tomczak.
And that's another way that you can attack this Pitt defense is the quick pass game, because they're flowing so hard downhill. If you get the ball to an athlete in space, if he can beat his man on the outside, there's no one there to make the tackle. You've got pursuit coming, but they're flowing downhill. They have to change direction to try to get to that ball carrier.
Tomczak with his team leading 15th catch of the year, over 200 yards, couple of touchdowns out of Lincoln Way East High School. A former walk-on who is the feature receiver now as a junior. Pass incomplete, trying to find Tyshawn King out of the backfield. That'll bring up second down.
And Brungard had everything he wanted on that play. The offensive line did a good job of picking up the blitz. I think he threw the ball prematurely, thinking they were going to get there. You've got to trust your offensive line. They did a good job. Take your time. Take a little bit off the ball. Lead your receiver. You had him on the crossing route, but he threw it behind him.
There's Brungard, a legacy whose father, Mark, quarterbacked the Penguins to a pair of 1AA national championships back in 1993 and 94. Fakes the handoff, finds a man right out of the backfield, and the Penguins have something cooking. Damon Lynham with the tackle after a 9-yard pickup. That'll bring up third down and short.
And a good job by the receivers blocking on the perimeter. Something Coach Phillips talked about as well. The receivers weren't blocking well early in camp. He got on them during the film session, and they got fired up, and they're doing a better job. And you saw on that play blocking out on the perimeter, giving your backs and receivers lanes to get up the field.
King, the running back, last year's second team All Valley Football Conference. Tries to bounce it outside, then cuts it up. He's got himself a first down. Move the chains one more time for Youngstown State. It's a 3-yard gain for King.
And Youngstown State looks like they know where their blocking assignments are now. When you look at Pitt's defense, they're going to put 8 in the box. They're going to challenge your manhood. They're going to come downhill. And for the Youngstown State offensive line, they had to figure out their blocking schemes, and they seem to have found a good blocking scheme this drive. They're getting a hat on a hat, and they're getting movement at the point of attack, and that's why we're seeing positive plays from this offense.
Francis Brewu, Nakai Johnson, Chief Borders up front defensively for Pitt. Another big play for this Youngstown State offense. Cyrus Troe, the redshirt freshman from Parkersburg, West Virginia.
And you see they hit him with the jet sweep action. He's able to get to the outside. You saw the step to the inside. You make the defender pause, and once he pauses, he's able to get around the edge and get positive yards. That's what you want to do. You want to get this defense moving side to side. They're coming downhill. You've got to get them moving side to side.
Trow had a great training camp for Doug Phillips and continues to emerge. Here's a redshirt freshman. King still on his feet. A flag comes down. He carried it inside the 30-yard line. Let's see if this play stands. Well, Tyshawn King was one of the guys who the NFL scouts, in fact, the Giants and the Packers were on campus yesterday looking at him.
Holding. Offense. Number 56. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, the tough afternoon for the senior center Aiden Parker continues. He is one of the tone setters up front. Take a look on the left side of your screen, number 56. And
I don't see it. I know know I'm partial to offensive linemen, but I didn't see holes in that play.
The first quarter.
1 quarter in the books. All Pittsburgh on top of Youngstown State. Welcome back to the Steel City. 21-0 Pittsburgh as we head to the second quarter, but Youngstown State is on the move. Coming up on their 8th play of the drive. First time they have had a sustained drive. With Forrest Connolly, I'm Doug Sherman. What have the Penguins been doing here? Although after a penalty, they're staring at 1st and long.
And I still question that penalty. I know I'm partial to offensive linemen. The officials, I'm not going to question them, but I question the call. I mean, that's kind of talking out of both sides right there. But I don't think that was a hold.
Bo Brungard on the crossing pattern has a completion. At the end of the first quarter, we had a chance to catch up with Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi.
Trying to go 1-0 today. It's a great stop by offense and defense for that matter. You know, we talked about a clean, complete game, and we're getting a little closer here.
How hot under the collar? You look good in the shirt and tie.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's for Pops.
Excellent. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
And again, because Pittsburgh is hosting Pat Narduzzi's hometown school where he used to play and where his father used to coach.
Offense. 12 men breaking the huddle. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That is why he's going with the shirt and tie here today.
And another mental mistake by this Youngstown State offense. They've got to do a better job. They're getting movement with the football. They had a successful drive going along. They got the holding penalty. They got positive yards on that last pass play. Good job by the offensive line blocking. But then you break the huddle with 12 men. You've got to remove those intangibles, those negative intangibles, if you want to compete in this football game.
So wipe away the completion to Luke Hensley. And it's 2nd down and 17. Tyshawn King, Ethan Wright, a couple of running backs in there with Brungard. Out of the backfield, it's Wright on the receiving end, lowers his shoulder, gets to the 30-yard line, and that'll bring up 3rd down and about 10.
And a good job with the quick pass game. Once again, when you've got a defense that flows downhill and plays as aggressive as this Pitt defense does, you've got to do misdirection. You've got to get the ball out quick and allow guys to make plays in space. When they're coming downhill, they have to change direction and try to pursue. But if you can get it to them while they're moving north and south, if they can make a move one-on-one on the outside, there's no other defenders on the back end of the defense because everybody is in the box.
Penguins offensive coordinator Troy Rothenbuehler told us this week they've got to find and create explosive plays. Here staring at 3rd down and a long 6 yards to go. Procedure before the snap.
Before any fouls, timeout. Youngstown, their first.
Justin Elliott says with a little
30 seconds.
smile on his face. I like that. Well, that would have been the 5th penalty committed by Youngstown State. Do you sense like they have caught their breath? It seems like they are starting to settle in here.
And this is 3rd and manageable. Something they have not had throughout this afternoon early in this football game.
On an 80-degree afternoon, I'm guessing that Penguin's not all that cool right now.
And I look at this as 4-down territory. You're down 21-0 at the top of the second quarter. You're doing a good job driving the football down the field. You don't have to get it all on this play. But if they can get 5 or 6 yards, even 4 yards, it puts them in a better position to go for it. But I think this is 4-down territory right now.
Enrollment at Youngstown State over 11,000. And a 4-time FCS national championship team. Jim Tressel was the head coach of the Penguins back in the 90s. Brungard has time, reloads, and he's going to be dropped for about a gain of a yard by Kyle Lewis, the star linebacker out of East Orange, New Jersey.
And Kyle Lewis's job is to mirror Brungard. and he does a good job of not allowing Brungard to get to the outside. You see right there, Brungard had space, and it looked like he had an opportunity to try and get the first down. But a good job by Lewis continuing to stay in front of him and mirror him and spy him and not allow him to get up the field to get that first down.
Andrew Lastovka, sophomore place kicker. From 46 yards, it is good. A new season long for Lastovka at Youngstown State with its first scoring drive of the afternoon. It looks like we've got a house divided here in Pittsburgh. The Panthers and Youngstown State, these two schools separated by about 70 miles. The young lady on the right a little happier than the gentleman on the left, although his Penguins just finally put together a scoring drive to get on the board. With Forrest Connolly, I'm Doug Sherman, and so off of the field goal, we will have a kickoff from Josh Wilkins, a freshman from Bessemer, Pennsylvania. Derek Davis among those back to receive. But this is Kenny Johnson, who makes his way out across the 20-yard line. Well, we've been talking about Pat Narduzzi having grown up in Youngstown. He went to Ursuline High School and then played for his dad as a freshman linebacker. And again, he's wearing the shirt and tie today in homage to his dad, Bill, who died young of cancer in his early 50s. He had battled cancer for 6 years while coaching and as the athletic director at Youngstown before he was fired at the end of the '85 season. For Pat, it means something. He was a ball boy for his dad, a tearaway jersey guy as a kid at Youngstown State, and they would keep the tearaway jerseys, Forrest, and use them themselves. Pass complete to Poppy Williams. It's a big explosive out to midfield for the Panthers.
The coaching staff talked about Poppy Williams. Poppy Williams tells him, I'm always open. And you see the change of direction by Poppy. He gets that foot down, plants that foot with the dead leg, and gets to the outside and the speed to get extra yards on that catch. Good job by Poppy Williams on the outside.
You remember tearaway jerseys. Earl Campbell, all those guys?
That was a little bit before my time. I'm not that old, Doug. I'm not that old.
Back in the 70s, imagine that, coming home from Fitch Stadium with your own Penguins tearaway jerseys to use out in the yard for pickup football games. Eli Holstein with a flag thrown. Wide open tight end in the middle of the field is Jake Overman. He's tripped up inside the 20-yard line. Stefan Hall made the tackle of Overman.
Personal foul. Illegal hands to the face. Defense. Number 16. Penalties half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
So the 31-yard pass play will stand. And then the penalty against Jabarick Hopkins will move the Panthers even closer to the goal line.
And you saw B.J. Williams, number 55, the right guard, telling his quarterback those illegal hands to the face. Watch number 55. You see him right there? That's where it is, right there. And he made sure the official identified it by putting his hands out.
Of course. Williams in motion. Holstein looking that way. Incomplete. Looked like the defender, Preston Zandier, got another deflection, his second of the afternoon.
And Zandier is doing a good job of reading Holstein's eyes. Watch Zandier. He sees him, and he jumps. But a good job by Zandier to read Holstein's eyes. Holstein has to look him off. He's mirroring him, and he's watching where he wants to go with the football.
Young man out of Thomas Jefferson High School here in Pittsburgh very nearly had the interception. Little sidearm pass to Kenny Johnson. The Penguins defense was ready for him. Jalen Castleberry, a junior cornerback, making the tackle.
And the center, Lyndon Cooper, tried to get out there on that tunnel screen. A very difficult block because you have to open up that outside hip and get around the guard and the tackle to get to the outside. So you've got to get a little bit of movement from the guard and the tackle so you can get to that area to get a block on that outside defender.
Jason Collier in the game at left guard, in between Lyndon Cooper and Branson Taylor. Holstein dropped the snap, picks it up, throws to the end zone, and a wide open receiver. It's a 10-yard touchdown for Kenny Johnson.
And you know, it's interesting on this play, because Holstein dropped the ball, that allowed the receiver enough time to break down on the outside, not Mekhi Shaheed, Isaiah Hackett on the outside to get to the edge. Hackett slipped on that play. I don't think he would have been able to go to him on the outside if he didn't fumble that ball, but Hackett slipped on that play, which allowed the receiver to break open.
The quick strike Panthers once again, 5-play drive. And Ben Sauls, the left-footed kicker, boots it through to make it 28-3 Panthers. Eli Holstein showing why he was one of the top quarterback recruits in the country year before last with another TD here for Pitt. Pittsburgh 28, Youngstown State 3 on homecoming here at Acrisure Stadium. The college basketball season tips off Monday, November 4th. So on Tuesday at 7 Eastern, the Nothing But Net crew will look at every ACC school's upcoming basketball schedule for both men's and women's hoops. And it's only on ACC Network and the ESPN app. A lot of excitement around here about what Jeff Capel has been able to build for the men's basketball program. They lost Bud Carrington to the first round of the NBA, but they have reloaded, and the Panthers certainly should be in the mix to be an NCAA tournament team again this winter.
Well, you think about his mentor, his teacher. I mean, when you learn from Krzyzewski, one of the best all-time coaches, Krzyzewski could actually say he is, well, no, I'm not going to say that. Let me stop short of that. My apologies, Mr. Wooden.
Well, Eli Holstein, 11 of 14 passing for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 5 carries, 49 yards and a score. The young man from just outside of Baton Rouge is doing everything for us.
Well, this is what you expect from a 5-star Alabama player, a former Alabama football player. He is coming to this program. He is taking a hold of this. He's getting the ball to his playmakers on the outside. He spins the ball extremely well. He throws with precision, and he's getting more and more comfortable with these receivers as they continue to progress through this season.
So now can the Penguins put together consecutive scoring drives. Their first 2 drives had only 6 plays and went for minus 14 yards. The last time they had the football, the Penguins took it 47 yards on 11 plays for a field goal to the air on first down. It's a completion out to Trow for 6 yards.
And if you notice, the offensive line for Youngstown State is doing a much better job of protecting with pass pro. They're giving their quarterback Brungard time to look down the field and find receivers. They're going with those quick out routes. I want to see them do it out and up. If we've got aggressive players on the outside from the defensive backs playing press man, if they get that safety looking inside, I think they have a chance to try and go down the field.
And we just showed you some of the big boys up front, the veterans. Pass deflected. Incomplete. Jimmy Scott, the redshirt sophomore from Buffalo, making the play.
And you see the defensive ends now are trying to jump those routes. They're trying to jump up. They know they're going with that quick pass game. And that's why I say you go with the stop and go route. You have an opportunity because, once again, they've got 8 people in the box. They're playing press man on the outside. They're playing one high safety. Look that safety off, and you've got man coverage on the outside. If your man can get to the football, I think there's an opportunity for Youngstown State for that big chunk play they've been looking for.
Penguins are 1 of 4 on 3rd down today. Moving the pocket to the right. Brungard looking back across the field. Nobody's open. Gets what he can. And he scrambles pretty close to a first down, and they will move the chains. So that's the second 3rd down conversion of the afternoon for Youngstown State.
And a good job by Brungard. I thought he had an opportunity earlier to go to Cyrus Trow, but Brungard did the best thing he could right there. Get the first down, keep the chains moving.
Well, he averages for us 8.3 yards per carry this year, and per game 105 yards rushing per game.
What I like, when he gets outside the pocket, he keeps his eyes down the field, but his receivers have to do a better job of coming back to him and trying to help him. You've got to give him a target to throw to.
Ethan Wright, the running back. And the football to him. He had nowhere to go. Hit behind the line of scrimmage by Nate Matlack, the Kansas State transfer.
And he comes in unblocked The offensive tackle has to do a better job. The right guard, Shane Keenan, number 62, you've got to do a better job of getting a hat on a hat. You cannot allow the defender to come in with free reign. You've got to cover him up. You don't have to make a knockout punch, but you've got to engage that defender to give your back somewhere to cut off of.
Tackle for loss made for the Olathe, Kansas native. Matlack pushes him back a couple of yards for 2nd down and 12. Brungard passes low. A couple of receivers in the area, Trow and Tomzak. That'll bring up 3rd down and long.
And that's a result of the pressure that Brungard has seen. Good inside spin move by Nate Matlack on that play. Brungard had to get rid of the football because Matlack was coming on him. The offensive tackle, you've got to do it better. You can't overset. On that play, he overset to the outside because of the speed rush that he's been seeing. And the defensive end did a spin move back to the inside. You've got to be able to power step when that defensive end spins back inside and drive him down into the line of scrimmage.
Brungard, eyes downfield, has a man in double coverage. Was it intercepted? Indeed it was. Kyle Lewis, whose game-ending interception sealed last week's backyard brawl, picks off another pass here today.
And I thought Brungard could have went to number 6, Luke Hensley, the underneath route. He tried to get it all on that play. You've got to go with what the defense gives you. He tried to get too much. Go underneath, but a great job by the Pitt defender to eyeball him and get underneath that route and able to get that ball and squeeze it before he went out of bounds.
Tell you what, after an injury-plagued 2023, Kyle Lewis is healthy, had a terrific spring, and the young man out of Campus High School in New Jersey is primed for a big season.
And it's almost like he set Brungard up on that play, making him feel like he had that opportunity to go there with the football.
Second time Pitt has started to drive in plus territory this afternoon. Holstein all day to throw, and he missed his intended target, Williams, by a few yards. A miscommunication there between those two.
And that's a part of that trust with these receivers and Holstein continuing to develop continuity, working together, playing together. You cannot simulate live action. One of the things Coach Bell talked about with Holstein is he wants him to trust those guys and throw the ball where they're going to be, throwing them open, trusting that they will be where they're supposed to be when they come to the top of their route.
Daniel Carter, the running back, takes the handoff, kicks it outside with room to run. He beats his man on the edge and is going to make it into the end zone for a touchdown. 43 yards, and Pitt just continues to roll here on homecoming.
And Daniel Carter out of Aquinas High School in South Florida. You see the big fella. He can play running back, he can play fullback or tailback. He's great at pass pro, catching it out of the backfield, and on that play, you see the speed from the 5'10", 220-pound back.
Hey, you mentioned St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Florida. His alma mater has produced 47 NFL players, including the Bosa brothers. How about John Kangemi, one of the great quarterbacks in Pittsburgh history? Also back in the early 80s, came out of St. Thomas Aquinas, same school as Daniel Carter, whose touchdown makes it 34-3. The point after is good. It is Carter's first 2-touchdown game, and it's done today here with 8:08 remaining in the first half.
And watch the big fella rumble. He gets through the hole and he beats the defender down the field. You see the interception right there to get them the ball back. And then Makai Shaheed trying to run him down, and the big fella gets there for the touchdown.
We featured Desmond Reed off the top, the junior running back for Pitt, but he has yet to touch the football, and as far as we can tell, he's not been on the field. We have no understanding of why he is not playing, but coming into the game, he is second in the country in all-purpose yardage, 188 yards per game, but something is going on. Why we've not seen number 0 with the football.
He looks pretty healthy, but right now the way Pitt's playing, I don't think they need him. They're getting great production from the running back position from those other guys that are carrying the football. But that is a big question. What's going on with Desmond Reed?
Well, his head coach, Pat Narduzzi, says his 5'6" running back is, quote, the toughest dude I've been around. He'll stick his nose in the A-gap. And he has been a tone setter. He was a great player in South Florida, but because of his size, he was under-recruited, went to Western Carolina and was great, and then followed Cade Bell, his offensive coordinator from WCU, to here in Pittsburgh.
I think too much is put into the size of a football player. If you can play, you can play. Darren Sproles was that size. I played with a guy named Warwick Dunn. I think he was pretty good as well.
No
but
doubt.
He wasn't the biggest guy in the world.
Deshaun Watley is the running back with his first carry, the sophomore from Cleveland, with a gain of 6.
And you see on that play, Watley, if he gets past that defender, there are no more defenders behind. So that's the thing that Pitt has to be careful when they're playing that one high safety. He has to make the play. He's the last line of defense.
That was Cruz Brookins, the redshirt freshman out of Steel Valley High School here in Pittsburgh. Ethan Wright back in at running back for the Penguins. Youngstown State 1-2 on the year. They were picked to finish 7th in the Missouri Valley Conference. South Dakota State, North Dakota State picked 1 and 2 in that league. Brungard being chased, gets rid of the football, has a man out near midfield. What a play to find Richard Dandridge.
And this is a great play design. Richard Dandridge is on the opposite side of the formation, and he comes across. You see him put his hand up. You have to help your quarterback. I like the way he continued to flow across the field the same way Brungard was going. He put his hand up to give his quarterback somewhere to go with the football. I like the design of the play because when you've got all those guys coming downhill, there's a lot of traffic. He was able to weave through the traffic and find a place to put himself where his quarterback could get the football to him.
I met Richard Dandridge this morning on the elevator on the hotel. Very nice young man. Temple transferred, greeted me, said hello, and now he's made his first big play of the afternoon here at this NFL stadium. Deshaun Watley up the middle again for a gain of 5. The Penguins trying to get another scoring drive here before halftime.
And right now, Youngstown State is getting good run fits. They're firing off with a flat back. They're getting good inside hands and getting movement at the point of attack.
Well, as you've talked about for us, the Penguins lead FCS in time of possession. This is what they like to do. They possess the ball for over 37 minutes per game. On second down, a pickup of 3 for Watley. Tracked down by Javon McIntyre, the free safety from Bear, Delaware.
And you see on that play, that was more of a traditional 4-3 set by the Pitt defense. Those linebackers stayed back. They didn't come down with that blitz. And I think Youngstown State is making them change up a little bit what they're doing defensively because of the way they've been able to run the ball successfully in the second quarter.
And the 4-3 is their base for Randy Bates, right?
Yes.
That was a big part of how they got Nate Matlack to transfer from K-State. He was only coming to a system that played a 4-3. Tyshawn King, the ball carrier, and he is met immediately by Rasheem Biles, a sure tackling sophomore from Pickerington Central High School in Columbus.
Rasheem Biles does a good job of playing inside out. He has great quickness, good movement. He's able to dissect what's going on, and he's not afraid to stick his head in there.
Neither is Francis Brewo, a true freshman. He and Sincere Edwards both on the depth chart as first-year players. You don't see that often at this level.
And if you look at the Pitt defenders across the defensive front, they're not big guys. They average about 270, 275, but that's a Pitt defender. You think about Aaron Donald, Kalijah Yancey, both players, unanimous players of the year. They weren't big guys.
Brungard has a man at the 40-yard line. If he held on to it, he did. Inbounds, Max Tomczak with a first down reception.
You see right now Brungard with the quick pass out. Tomczak is double covered, but a good job by Brungard putting the ball where only Tomczak can make a play on it.
And if you think the Tomczak name is familiar, it's because it is. His uncle Mike was a longtime NFL quarterback, and he's actually on staff as a volunteer for head coach Doug Phillips, who calls him my coach whisperer.
And we saw him in pregame, and he looks like he can still play.
Oh, yeah.
He looks great.
Oh, yeah. Ethan Wright back in. 1st and 10. With Serrano in motion, Brungard with time to throw, has single coverage downfield, but step for step, Javon McIntyre was with Andrew Jacobs. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10. And there's Mike Tomczak, who was a backup to Jim McMahon of the 1986 Chicago Bears. And then he played a number of years on the back end of his career right here in Pittsburgh. Not in this stadium, though. It was still Three Rivers next door when he was a Steeler. And again, he's a volunteer on this staff and goes way back with Doug Phillips and provides such a key role on this staff. Here comes the pressure for Pitt. Biles after the quarterback, who gets rid of the football to Tomczak. Yards after the catch. It's a first down for the Penguins before Ryland Gandy made the stop. And there is Uncle Mike, quarterback out of Ohio State. Had a real good run. 15 seasons in the NFL. Steelers for 7 years after being with the Bears. He also won his first 10 starts in the NFL with the Bears, an NFL record at the time, since broken by fellow Steeler Ben Roethlisberger. And you know what? Doug Phillips talked about the fact that his brother, Tom Phillips, is the director of football ops, also on staff. Former Penguins great kicker Jeff Wilkins. And then you put Tomczak on there. He's got a core of veteran coaches who he can trust. Straight up the gut, Ethan Wright. Able to gain 2, maybe 3 yards. Give him 4 yards on the pickup. But I thought that was neat how he talked about, you know, young coaches, when you succeed, they're going to move on and up. But he's got these 3 older guys, relatively speaking, who are his core. I say that, they're my age, but you know what I mean.
Well, these are the type of guys that want to stay around and help him continue to build this program. They can attract talent, and this is talent that they can sell, that we've played at the next level. We understand what it takes to be at the next level, and not only just get there, but be successful when you get to the next level.
Well, they took Youngstown State to the FCS playoffs last year for the first time in 7 years, made it to the second round. Brungard with a slow mesh point. The Pitt defense was not fooled as Rasheem Biles tackles Tyshawn King. And we have reached the 2-minute timeout.
That is the 2-minute timeout.
After thunderstorms rolled through, we've got a gorgeous September afternoon here in Pittsburgh. Pitt with a 32-point lead late in the second quarter here in Pittsburgh. Coming up at the half, Taylor Tannenbaum and the crew will preview the ACC games coming up tonight, including the ACC Network primetime game featuring Michigan State and Boston College at 8 p.m. And we'll have first half highlights and stats from our game. Miami at South Florida tonight should be a good one. That's on ESPN.
Timeout. Pitt.
As
They're
Pittsburgh
first.
Calls timeout.
30 seconds.
Also, Cal at your alma mater on ESPN2. Will Florida State pick up its first win of the year for us?
That's going to be interesting because that Cal team is very tough. They're going to come down there feeling like they can win that football game. For Florida State, they've just got to play with confidence. I haven't seen that so far from this ball club. DJ has to do a better job of being a vocal leader. The offensive line has to do a better job of blocking at the point of attack. And I think they need to run the football. They need to play, you know, off the run as opposed to playing off the pass. So that will be an interesting ball game. A lot of pressure on everybody down there. And I do think if they don't start to win, we will see some changes within the coaching staff, within, you know, the personnel down there as well.
Meanwhile, Cam Ward and the Hurricanes have looked great this year, but you think they might be tested tonight in Tampa against USF? Well,
South Florida's not scared. These are a lot of kids that played against one another, played with one another in high school. South Florida gave Alabama everything that they could handle in Tuscaloosa. It was a tough game last year for Alabama as well when they played at South Florida. So they're anxious for that ball game, but then it also could get away from them because Cam Ward is a legitimate Heisman candidate.
No doubt about that. Tyshawn King, the running back for the Penguins, who have possessed the football now. This will be their 11th play of the drive. They've moved it 50 yards. A key third down. Brungard has looked good on this drive with his 4th completion. It's a big one. All the way to the end zone. A 25-yard touchdown by Cyrus Trout. That's his 2nd touchdown catch of the year, the first of the day for the Penguins.
And I want to give my big fella some love on this play, number 73, David Metzler. Watch him get out to the outside. He doesn't get a knockout block, but he gets just enough of the defender to allow the receiver, Traub, to cut back up into the lane and get down the field for the touchdown. That's what you have to do as an offensive lineman. It's not always about the knockout blocks, but getting out there and using your body as a shield for your offensive teammate to get around you and get up the field.
And Metzler did not start this ball game. Van Keen was moved moved ahead of him at left guard. But as you say, when you come off the bench, you got to be ready to go.
Absolutely. And here's one more look at it. You see big number 73 get to the outside. Good job right there. That little nip on the shoulder of the defender, not allowing Rasheed Biles, number 31. He was right there, but a good job. He got that little nip on him, and that allowed Trout to get up in the seam and get there for the touchdown. Those are the little intangibles that coaches look for.
Trout's a redshirt freshman out of Parkersburg South High School in West Virginia. Redshirt freshman, 6 foot, 180 pounds. On the receiving end from Brungard, who on that drive was 4 of 5 for 61 yards. Now, he's been very good in terms of taking care of the football this year. Brungard at 71% on the year. He looked every bit of that on that drive.
Well, they're starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And once again, when you've got a defense like Pitt that brings 8 in the box, they bring constant pressure, they play downhill with aggression, you've got to get that quick pass game going. You've got to get them going side to side. You've got to run misdirection. You've got to get those guys moving in a direction they don't want to move. They want to be downhill. You got to make them turn those hips and get to the outside and pursue.
Josh Wilkins with the kickoff, and it's coming the way of Derek Davis from his own 2-yard line. Across the 15, takes a shot at the 17 and falls forward. Well, coming up tonight at 8 Eastern on ACC Network, Boston College hosting Michigan State in Chestnut Hill. Also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch from anywhere. Some of the teams in the ACC that maybe weren't thought of that highly preseason, like BC, showing things here in September. Here's a little Panthers fan enjoying the football action here today. The Panthers looking to go to 4-0 for the first time in 24 years. Daniel Carter back in there. He's already run for 2 touchdowns today. Bartholomew motions to the right as Holstein takes a shot and has a man. C.J. Lee makes the cut. It's an 82-yard touchdown play from Eli Holstein.
And that was a great read by Holstein. What he saw, they put someone in motion, and that moved that safety over to the middle of the field. So there's no back-end defender, and he had Lee one-on-one on the outside. And Lee's got that top-end speed, that vertical speed. They talked about Lee last week. They taped him at 20 miles per hour on a vertical route, and you saw it on that play. He ran right by the defender.
Junior from Clearwater, Florida. One of the 3 players who followed the new offensive coordinator, Kate Bell, from Western Carolina. It's a whole new day for the Pittsburgh offense with the new offensive coordinator, the new quarterback, and the infusion of talent from the FCS level.
Well, I'll tell you what Kate Bell did. You know, when you excuse me, not Kate Bell, but when you look at what Holstein did on that play, once again, he did a good job of reading what the defense gave him, and they gave him man coverage on the outside. He knew he had a speed receiver on the outside, and a good job by Lee to stay in bounds. He was concentrating. He was able to squeeze that football and then outran the defender. But what Holstein saw was when that safety moved over, there was no one else on the back end. So all he had to do is lead his receiver, and he allowed him to break open. And once he got to top end speed, no one was there to catch him.
I think Western Carolina wishes it still had Poppy Williams and C.J. Lee. Lee with the 82-yard touchdown there. Williams 3 catches, 65 yards and a touchdown.
And you know what Coach Bell did? He brought his luggage. Remember Coach Prime talked about bringing his luggage out to Colorado?
Yep.
Well, that's the same thing that Coach Bell did. He brought his luggage over here offensively. And you see those guys are immediate weapons across the board for him.
Yeah, Kate Bell, just 31 years old, hired in December from WCU. The son of former SEC Player of the Year Kerwin Bell, who he played for at Jacksonville University, and then during his 20s coached for his dad. As we've got an injured player on the field. It's Josh McCarty, senior defensive back from Troy, Michigan, who is slow to get up.
And think about this, Doug. If you're Kerwin Bell and Kate leaves for the offensive coordinator's job, He takes 3 players in the portal. This is probably the only time there's a head coach that did not mind losing players in the portal.
That's a great point.
You know, because it's his son. He wants him to do well. And when you look at the players that he took with him, they are dynamic offensive players on this level. So think about what they were doing on the FCS level.
Well, Cade Bell says he talks to his dad every single night, and asked him how much of that conversation is talking ball, and he said 95%. Dad asked about his grandchild for about 5% of the time, and the rest of it's all football.
And his dad was a guy at the University of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Conference Player of the Year. I mean, he did it all. He's in the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. He is definitely a legend at the University of Florida.
And I tell you what, I watched during warm-ups today. Cade can still spin it. Left-handed quarterback at Jacksonville. He gets out there and can throw a really nice spiral still.
And I'll tell you what was awesome about him as well. In his introductory press conference, he broke down. But that lets you know how much it means to him to coach and be a part of this game of college football.
Youngstown State can move the football down the field after bobbling the snap. Pass incomplete from Brungard, trying to find Seacrest. Just happy to get that play over with.
And as fast as Pitt scored on that last drive, Youngstown State has to be careful right now. You don't want to give them the ball back before the half. They've got to get some positive plays, positive yards.
Youngstown State will receive the football to begin the second half. But they are not the type of offense that is built for a quick strike here in the last 91 seconds of the half. Tyshawn King, one of the senior captains from Kankakee, Illinois, back into the game. They hand him the football, and he's wrapped up after a gain of 2 yards. Nakai Johnson, the defensive tackle, and Donovan McMillan coming up from a strong safety position for the tackle.
Pitt.
And Pitt calls timeout.
30 seconds.
Saying, hey, if we get the football back, we can score again.
And throwing the ball and getting an incompletion on that first pass allows Pitt to have the timeouts that they need to try and get the ball back and give it to that offense.
There's Doug Phillips, the 56-year-old native of New Middletown, Ohio. He went to Toledo, where while he was an undergraduate, he started his coaching career at a local high school. And he spent over a decade as a high school coach and has worked his way up. Jim Tressel is his mentor and given him multiple opportunities. And again, he got this Penguins program after a 7-year absence back to the FCS playoffs last year.
And think about the mentors for both of these head coaches, Narduzzi, Tressel. I mean, you couldn't learn from better mentors as far as how to win college football games and how to develop talent.
3rd down and 7 for his Penguins offense. Brungard with a completion. How about the quick feet of Max Tomczak? And he continues to go. They move the chains, and the Penguins will keep the football.
And Tomczak has that make-you-miss ability. You see him on the outside right here. He plants, gets to the inside, runs through arm tackles, continues to fall forward. That's all you can ask for from your receivers on the outside.
Brungard was leveled as he got rid of that football. Quarterback pressure by Brandon George, the 6th-year middle linebacker for the Panthers.
And you heard the crowd sigh when Brungard took that hit. I'm glad he's able to get up.
Personal foul. Chop block. Number 56 and 10. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Aiden Parker again, along with the running back Tyshawn King.
And when one person is engaged, you see right there Aiden Parker's engaged, and then you see the back also goes out and tries to cut him. You cannot do that. Brungard takes the, he stays in there. He knows he's going to get hit, but he's able to get up, and which was, you know, a question in itself, the way the crowd reacted to that.
Well,
but he's a tough kid.
He is. The guy who hit him, Brandon George, 6'3", 240 pounds, a 6th-year Panther who scored his first career touchdown last week against West Virginia. 24-yard scoop and score off for a punt block by Maverick Gracio. Deshaun Watley back into the game at running back for the Penguins. And you're right, it's good to see Bo Brungard back up and still out there. He is the ultimate competitor, according to his head coach. Still learning to be a passer, not a thrower. Final 15 seconds of this first half. Looks like the Penguins are happy to just run the clock out with Tyshawn King running it up the middle. Well, what a first half of football for the Pitt Panthers. 42-10 our score at the intermission, led by their redshirt freshman quarterback Eli Holstein. 3 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown for Pat Narduzzi's squad. Since Kenny Pickett at Duke 3 years ago, that's the best first half for a Pitt quarterback. We head to the break on Homecoming. All things coming up Pitt. We're at Acrisure Stadium. Beautiful downtown Pittsburgh. The Panthers lead Youngstown State 42-10. When we come back, we'll have our first half highlights and stats here on the ACC Network Extra.
Welcome into your ACC Network halftime report. Hope you're enjoying the first half of this one. The ACC Huddle, is in Boston College, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts right now as we get ready for a big showdown, a little Big Ten ACC action between the Eagles and Michigan State, who is coming to town. Tom Luginbill, Eric McLean. I am Taylor Tannenbaum. And let's talk about the matchup, why we are here on campus before we get to a couple of other big games. This is not just a game between 2 Power 4 teams. It's not just a game on the schedule. It's the red bandana game for Boston College, and it honors Wells Crowther, who passed away on 9/11, and he played lacrosse here at BC, and he was known for his red bandana, so you'll see a ton of that today for those who don't know the backstory. Heading into this game, let's speak to the magnitude of just what this means for BC, and especially in a game-time atmosphere under the lights.
Yeah, it's such a great opportunity to go back to work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just faced a really good quality opponent in Mizzou, take them to the wire, a top 6 team in the country, a potential playoff team in the SEC on the road. So, I did a lot of radio this week, Tom, and people asking me, is BC going to be dejected? Are they going to be down? And I said, I don't think so. I think they're going to be standing tall and thinking we can just play with anybody. So the best thing that happened is they're playing Michigan State, who is undefeated at home in prime time. They got to get back to work immediately.
They do. And again, there's no moral victories here, but to your point, when you get on that plane and you leave that venue, you at least can look at yourself and say, we can play with those guys.
Yes.
Right? And if we can play with those guys, and that's the 6th ranked team in the country, we could play with anybody. I think a couple of things stood out to me that reared their ugly head that did not occur in the first 2 games. Yep. Number 1, they turned the football over. All right? They had not been turning the football over. Number 2, the penalties reached up and grabbed them. They hadn't been heavily penalized. And then they weren't able to run the football as effectively as I think they needed to win on the road. And so, talking to Bill O'Brien this week, those are the 3 areas he's like, we have to get back to that style of football, because if we play that style of football, we've got ourselves a pretty good football team.
Right, exactly. And I think, again, with the game plan, those interceptions, man, it just hurts you, right?
Yeah.
It took away momentum. But I will say this, they never quit.
No.
They never
hung in there.
This is out of reach. And outside of losing contain on a 3rd down, you had it. You had a shot, and they just weren't able to get it. So very encouraged with what we saw from Boston College.
It's going to be a really fun one under the lights. Tom Luginbill is, of course, on the call of this one. A big opportunity against Michigan State. Meanwhile, for Miami, they've yet to even leave the state of Florida throughout the first couple of weeks of the season.
Why would you?
Heading to Tampa to take on South Florida. Raymond James Stadium is the place to be. They have opened the upper deck, by the way, because more Bulls fans and Canes fans are expected to show up. Earlier this week, Cam Ward spoke about this USF defense they're getting ready to play.
I think this is going to be one of the most physical teams that we played all year. So it's going to be a good challenge both sides of the ball. I mean, they have returning guys. They have a good DB room, a good safety room. I think they don't get a lot of credit for what they've put on tape this year. So we know it's going to be a challenge, and we just ready for the opportunity.
All right, he's not to give USF any bulletin board material. Old Cam Ward, he's been around the block a time or two. Lugs, when you're talking about this game, we saw USF take Alabama into the fourth quarter. What do you see on tape in this matchup?
Well, I think he's right. I think the one thing about South Florida that maybe they don't get their due credit for is they're a physical bunch, and they're pretty physical up front on defense. Now, anytime you have a South Florida football team, and if you watched this team a year ago, they were really talented. They have athletes that can run. And when you have athletes that can run, then all of a sudden you can match up with people better. Now, if I'm Mario Cristobal, all I'm doing is taking that Alabama tape and throwing it up on a loop in the building over and over and over again, because the number one thing you got to do is you got to respect your opponent. Right. But it's a lot easier to respect your opponent. I don't care if from the Group of Five or the FCS, when you put on tape against Alabama and they're playing, right? They're playing. And so how challenged will Miami be? I think that's going to be more of a mindset question than it is athlete to athlete. Right. They could match up and in probably some areas overmatch. But how do they look at South Florida in terms of how they approach them?
And I think, clearly going on the road again, they're not going to be overwhelmed, right? You go to the Swamp, that place is electric. Yep. This is going to be nothing of that nature. So they've weathered that storm. This is not the first time that they're going on a road facing a quality opponent here. But I think, again, the difference in Miami to me, guys, is they are taking teams that they're supposed to throttle, and they're doing that. I was worried, Tom, after that Florida game, is some complacency going to creep? Oh, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. And it absolutely has. And I think a big part of that is because this guy right here, Cam Ward, is just so dialed in. He knows what's at stake. I mean, there are literally millions of dollars riding on him for this season and how he's just going to perform at the next level. And what he has been able to do each and every game, it just seems like the relationships with the receivers has grown immensely in 3 games already.
Well, there's no question about it. And if this game were to be close, let's just say this game is close. Remember Georgia and Kentucky last week? And, the sky is falling in Athens. And then the week before that, the sky was falling in Tuscaloosa because of this very South Florida team. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a closer game than people think it's going to be. In-state, you got recruiting battles. You're on the road. They have athletes. And so however this game plays out, let's just say Miami were to win the game. If it's a close game, I don't think you make any blanket definitive statements about Miami off of that. That happens. Those types of games are played as we see each and every year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's happening in Tampa, but in Tallahassee in the Panhandle, Cal is coming across the country to play Florida State. One team has yet to lose, the other team has yet to win this season. I want a note from each of you, starting with you, Emac, what you anticipate in this matchup there at Doak Campbell Stadium.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears here because I think their turnovers, the way that they force them, number one in the country last year.
10 of them.
They're just picking it up where they left off, creating turnovers. I think that's going to be a little bit of drama and a little bit of look out for DJU and company.
You better bring your big boy pads.
That's right.
And a note from your mother.
What's the note for? What's the note say?
Permission to play. Because this Cal team now will whip you, and they get after it, and they run to the football. They're a problem. I think they're a handful. And then they got Fernando throwing the rock on offense, and he's been uber efficient on offense. And they've done this, guys, without Jaden Ott in the backfield.
That's right.
Right? Javian Thomas fills in and rushes for over 150 yards. He's been unbelievable. So, to me, I think Cal's kind of getting hot.
Right.
And not a good time for Florida State.
And if you're talking about the mental in that Miami USF game, there's a lot of mental involved as well in that Florida State Cal game. All right, don't forget, we're in the thick of college football season, so every single day, Monday through Friday, right here on ACC Network, you got to watch ACC PM at 4 o'clock. Mark Packer, of course, always holding it down. Lugs is on sometimes. I'm on sometimes. Justin, too. But right now, you got some game to watch. Enjoy the second half for Lugs, Emac. I'm Taylor. We'll see you later.
The new 12-team college football playoff begins December 20th on ESPN. That's how I get by.
It is halftime here at Acrisure Stadium. Beautiful downtown Pittsburgh. The Panthers lead Youngstown State 42-10. When we come back, we'll have our first half highlights and stats here on the ACC Network Extra. Back in Pittsburgh, where the Panthers enjoy a 42-10 lead over Youngstown State as we head to the third quarter at Acrisure Stadium. With Forrest Connolly, I'm Doug Sherman, and no surprise that the redshirt freshman quarterback for the Panthers has come as advertised. Eli Holstein has been terrific.
Well, he's done everything you want your quarterback to do. He's protected the football. He's gone through his progressions and gotten the ball to his playmakers on the outside. He's run the football very effectively, making a good decision on the read option on that play, getting the ball down the field, getting out of bounds, not taking unnecessary contact. And here, he powers over the goal line to get the score for his ball club. Then he says, hey, guys, I can throw the ball as well. He gets the ball to the outside to Williams, and then here he gets the pass over to Johnson for the 10-yard touchdown. He's done everything you want your quarterback to do to be successful.
Meanwhile, on the ground, their third running back, Daniel Carter, has been the big production man. 2 touchdowns for Pitt so far today.
And you see the speed. Carter can play fullback, he can play tailback, he's got power, and he's got speed when he gets to the outside. He's a versatile player, and you see the versatility.
In 6 years as a Panther, he now has 8 career touchdowns, including those 2 today. Poppy Williams among the big play receivers for Holstein, who has been very efficient, as you alluded to, 12 of 16 for those 232 yards. And perhaps the only question now going into the third quarter, will he stay in the game long enough to get to 300 yards for the 4th straight game?
I think they'll let him get to that 300-yard plateau. But 12 of 16, 75% completion rate going into the second half. What else can he do? I mean, he's done everything that you've asked. One of the things the coaching staff talked about is they wanted him to continue to get continuity with these wide receivers, and you're seeing that the way he's been able to spread the ball around and get the ball to different receivers all across the board. You've got 4 different receivers that have caught the football this afternoon. He's spreading the ball around, getting it to his playmakers on the outside, allowing them to make plays.
And we are underway in the third quarter. The Penguins will bring it out to the 25-yard line. And if you are Youngstown State, you have been outgained, going on 3-1. How do you flip this script at all, if you can, in the third quarter?
Well, if you're Youngstown State, you have to look at that last drive where they got a score on the board. They were moving the ball effectively. They got with the quick pass game. And you've just got to get better. This is an opportunity to get better. You're very unlikely going to win this football game, but you can get better. And I think that is what the coaching staff, Coach Elliott and his staff, are telling these players. Let's go out, let's continue to compete and get better.
The quarterback, Bo Brungard, had himself a solid first half, and he has another completion to Jawan Hall. Brungard is now 12 of 19 for about 140 yards and a touchdown. He has done what you would hope if you're the Penguins.
Well, Brungard, we talked about the 75% completion rate, on one side of the ball with Holstein. Well, Brungard completed 61% of those passes. He's been under immediate pressure all afternoon. But I did see this offensive line find a way to give him time. You saw on that play right there. They're giving him time. He's getting the ball down the field.
And the one thing Brungard has not been able to do is he hands it off on first down around midfield. Short gain. Flags come in late. Brungard came in averaging over 100 yards rushing per game. In that first half, he was held to 8 yards rushing by this Pitt defense.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. Number 31. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Rasheem Biles, the sophomore from Columbus, with the face mask.
You see Rasheem Biles on the bottom of the screen come around, and it actually was on. They should have called that on the offensive tackle, number 54, Jason Williams. There should have been 2 face masks, one on Jason Williams and one on Biles. And almost as Biles said, okay, you pull my face mask, I'm going to go pull somebody else's face mask.
Just the second penalty on Pittsburgh so far this afternoon, which I would imagine pleases Pat Narduzzi. Well, after that disastrous start and a really poor first quarter, Youngstown State has acquitted itself pretty well. The offense has been able to possess the football. That's Ethan Wright, the senior from Akron, with the carry, tackled by Rylan Gandy after a 7-yard pickup. But the Penguins offense, this is what they want to do. This is what they do.
And that's why you continue to compete. You can't simulate live action. And when you've got an aggressive defense like they see across the board with Pitt, this is an opportunity to get better and prepare.
One of the leaders of this Pitt defense, Chief Borders, back into the game. making his third stop last year at Nebraska. A couple of years before that at Florida. Flags before the play.
Full start. Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That is Van Keene out of Stowe Monroe High School in Stowe, Ohio, who got the start at left guard today in place of David Metzler. This is a proud Penguins program. 4-time national champs at the Division I AA or FCS level. 91, 93, 94, 97. Only North Dakota State and Georgia Southern have more FCS titles. Brungard dumps it off. Kind of a backward flip trying to find the tight end Austin Bray, but it falls incomplete.
It's almost as if Brungard channeled his Pat Mahomes on that play. Just trying to get it out.
There's the list of FCS championships won by Youngstown State. Twice took down the Thundering Herd, then Boise State. Of course, Boise State Marshall now up to the FBS level. And McNeese most recently, that's now, 27 years ago. Time flies.
Make me feel old.
Tyshawn King, the senior captain running back onto the field for Youngstown State. Whistles blow and the Penguins use a timeout.
Timeout. Youngstown, their first.
First of the second half.
30 seconds.
Head coach Doug Phillips. Well, there is at least one shocker so far as we take a look at the scores today around the ACC. The North Carolina Tar Heels got absolutely steamrolled in a non-conference game by James Madison. That's closer than the game was, but how did they give up 70 points to the Dukes?
The 70 is not what's surprising to me. They had 53 at the half.
Yeah.
So if you just take what they did in the first half, they still beat Carolina, and Carolina scored 50 points. Now, I will say this, Carolina's on their third quarterback, so that may have come into play, but that doesn't affect your defense.
No. You score 50 points, and yet you lose by 20. Meanwhile, third quarter, Rutgers leads Virginia Tech. SMU in a non-conference game leading TCU 10-0. That would be a nice win for the Mustangs. Good game going on in Louisville between the Yellow Jackets and the Cardinals.
Two tough weeks for NC State, Tennessee, and then this week against
Clemson.
And Clemson seems to have gotten it back together after that Georgia loss.
No doubt about it. 3rd down and 7 for the Penguins. Brungard completes the pass. King out of the backfield has a first down and much more inside the 10-yard line. It's another sustained drive for the Penguins. Brandon George with the stop.
And a good read by Brungard. He saw Chief Borders, number 14, coming on the blitz. That's where you go at the football. There's an open space where the blitz is coming from. He knew King was going to be out in the flat, and once you get the ball to King, you allow him to make a play in the open field. That's what you have to do if you're Brungard. You have to read and take what the defense gives you.
22 yards on the pass play to King. And it's 1st and goal from just inside the 10-yard line. Brungard, play action, has a man, it's dropped. Ethan Wright, the intended receiver, did he possess the football? And is that a fumble? It appears to be a fumble recovery by Pittsburgh.
Now what the officials will do is they will look and make sure he made a football move. Let's see if he possessed it. I don't know. I don't think he had it enough. You've got to take 2 steps. That is not a football. I don't think he possessed it long enough. This is going to be an interesting call by the officials.
So the fumble caused by Kyle Lewis, the recovery by Rashad Battle.
I didn't think he squeezed it. I don't know if he possessed the ball.
Media timeout.
That's close.
Sure is. We'll take a break while the officials take a look, and Doug Phillips awaits the verdict. The call on the field is confirmed. Kyle Lewis forced the fumble on Ethan Wright, recovered by Rashad Battle, and so it's Pittsburgh football, 1st and 10 from their own 23-yard line. Holstein completes it to the tight end Bartholomew, and he is wrapped up immediately and dragged to the ground. Tight defense on that play. Andrew Setafati. After a loss of a yard on the play, Holstein bounces off a would-be tackler, scrambling for his life, and eventually sacked all the way back at the 5-yard line. A 17-yard loss as Jalen Kreider, the former Toledo Rocket, got home.
And Holstein, they had a stack formation with the receivers on the outside. He was waiting for his receiver to clear. He ran a flag route, but it took too much time for that play to develop, and pressure got to him. Those tackles tried their best to give him what he needed as far as the width of the pocket, but they were able to, defenders were to squeeze that pocket and make him bail, and they were able to get to him.
3rd down and 28 for Holstein, who is 13 of 17 through the air today for 230 yards. Through 3 games this season, he has passed for over 300 each time. Looking to add to that here, trying to pass a receiver open. Poppy Williams was the intended target, but they could not hook up.
And that's one of those plays that Coach Bell talked about, throwing the ball where the receiver is supposed to be, and that continues to be a part of the development with Holstein and his receivers. They'll continue to work on that, continue to develop that, and as they play more football games, more live action with one another, they'll be able to complete those passes, throwing those receivers open as opposed to throwing to an open receiver.
And you know what? Pittsburgh did not score a touchdown for the first time today. Caleb Junko with his first punt of the day, and he gets it away from his own end zone. Fair catch called for by Trow that carries him out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. Coming up later at 6:30 Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will be back with highlights and complete breakdowns of all the afternoon games, and then they'll get you ready for Michigan State Boston College at 8 o'clock on ACC Network. After that game, they'll have a full post-game show to wrap up the day. It's all right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. With Forrest Connolly, I'm Doug Sherman back at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. ACC champions under Coach Narduzzi 3 years ago. Fitzgerald, Marino, Dorsett, Goldberg, who was a 2-time Heisman finalist. Schmidt just passed away. What a list. There, you know, not many schools can run out the famous alumni like Pittsburgh can. King takes a pretty good shot. This is the best starting field position by far of the day for the Penguins. Javon McIntyre with the tackle on Tyshawn King.
And we talk about pick greats, you must mention Aaron Donald as well.
Yes.
3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, we didn't mention Mike Ditka, Tony Dorsett, Mark May, Bill Fralick, Jimbo Covert, Hugh Green. On and on and on. Larry Fitzgerald, who we started that conversation with, seeing his picture and his soon-to-be retired #1. They'll be honoring him before the Syracuse game coming up later this year. It's a Thursday night game that'll be carried on ESPN. Should be a great night here in the Steel City. Busted coverage and a wide open receiver. Trow with the touchdown from 44 yards out.
And when you've got all these crossing routes, you get people jumping those short routes because that's all they've been throwing. So they're jumping that quick short route, and a great read by Brungard. He saw the safety jump up. You see the safety come flying up. Number 7, Javon McIntyre. And once Brungard read the safety flying up, he knew he had Trow down the sideline. No one was there on the back end to cover that up.
Trow's second touchdown reception of the game. The first one went for 25 yards in the second quarter. This one for 44. So give him 4 catches for 87 yards and the 2 scores. After the PAT, we've got a flag that comes down to the backfield. Bo Brungard now 15 of 23 passing, 210 yards in those 2 scores, both to Trow. Our officials, led by referee Justin Elliott, talking over the latest penalty marker. They couldn't be discussing dinner options here in Pittsburgh, could they?
The try is good. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct fouls on both teams. Defense, number 31. Offense, number 67. Both of their first. Those fouls offset. Will kick off from the 35-yard line. Media timeout.
Rasheem Biles and Van Keen. And so we'll take a break after the Penguins have the latest big play here in Pittsburgh.
I'm kind of choking up a little bit because, you know, my dad and just, you know, he believed in me young when I was 24 years old. I was a GA. It's kind of crazy. I don't know why I'm crying, Coach, but you know, you're 24 years old and you're a GA, and next thing you know, he's telling you halfway through the season, hey, man, I want you to go to box and call a place. I think you're ready. And, you know, a lot of coaches think he's crazy. And, you know, when people believe in you, you know, Coach Deuce believes in me. And I think that means something, you know, so I'm excited.
That's 31-year-old first-year offensive coordinator Cade Bell, and in listening to those words for us, I think about things that Eli Holstein, his quarterback, talked about a few weeks ago. He's not trying to prove people wrong. He's trying to prove people right, those who supported him. And I get that same sense from Cade Bell. Johnson, still on his feet, returns it out across the 30-yard line. But to me, it's much more appealing to root for people who are trying to prove people right, those who supported them.
I love that interview. I love that introductory press conference because it shows it means something to Coach Bell. It shows that he's here for the long haul. He wants to help build this program. He wants to help chase championships. And you see the effect. He brought his luggage. He brought 3 playmakers with him. He's got a young quarterback that he's teaching. I think it's great, and I love the fact that his dad allowed him to walk away with so much talent and bring that with him.
And again, his dad, as Pitt keeps it on the ground up the middle, Daniel Carter. First time he's not busted one for a touchdown when they give him the football. But you know, his dad Kerwin was a walk-on at Florida. He was an 8th string quarterback who went on to become the SEC Player of the Year and have a long pro career. So, you know, father-son, they are connected in so many ways. Holstein going deep. Incomplete, but a flag comes in as Kanate Mumpfield laid out to try and make the play, but Peyton Edwards gets up pleading his case to the official, but the flag is thrown regardless.
Pass interference. Defense, number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And you see the safety late to react and get over there. Peyton Edwards is trying to catch up. He's playing catch up right here. He panicked just a little bit at the end of the route, at the top of that route. But that's the safety's fault. The safety has to do a better job of getting over to help him. And on that play, Kerryon Martin was playing more of a safety role. He needed to drop back deep and be over to help cover up that.
8th penalty against Youngstown State for 64 yards. Pittsburgh on the move. Holstein keeps the play alive, tries to float it for his intended receiver, but off the left hand of Jake Overman, and incomplete. Martin was in coverage again. Well, Cade Bell's stated goal at the start of this tenure for him was that I want Pitt to score 50 points a game. So far this year, they're averaging over 40 points a game. I would think you got to be happy. The offensive improvement has been stark from a year ago.
He's doubled the points from last year. He's got 10 more first downs per game, and you've got about 160 more yards per game of production. So they're getting the numbers and doing what he came to do as far as upgrading this offense.
Carter with another big run on 2nd down. Martin with the tackle. And I tell you what, the young man out of St. Thomas Aquinas High School, is that in Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
Yeah, he is having some kind of day. 13 yards on that carry. As Derek Davis now comes back in, replacing Carter. And again, we have not seen Des Reed, their usual starting running back. And we have not received word on why he has been sidelined. Carter now 4 carries, 88 yards. Holstein going deep to Johnson, and he overthrows number 2. Isaiah Crozier was step for step with Kenny Johnson.
And if Holstein takes a little bit off that ball, Crozier's going to get called for the penalty because he never turned around to locate the football. He was playing through the receiver.
Davis, who scored the winning touchdown against West Virginia last Saturday, is stood up and driven back. Preston Zandier, Hunter Allen, and now he is slow to get up. Davis injured on the play. Well, he's playing a much bigger role in this offense this year than he did a year ago for offensive coordinator Cade Bell, but at the moment,
media timeout.
Derek Davis, he is on the turf, will step away. Derek Davis able to walk off slowly and into the medical tent. He's got 6 carries for 21 yards, and now we will see Che Wabuko come in. Pat Narduzzi told us yesterday he expected for the redshirt sophomore running back out of Austin, Texas, to get reps. This is the first time we've seen number 21 on the field. And again, no sign of Des Reed, no word. It sounds like perhaps just giving him the day off, let him recuperate from some bumps and bruises, as Wabuko maybe gets a couple of bumps and bruises himself. And in the meantime, Pitt was expected coming into the season to have a two-headed monster in the backfield, Des Reed and Rodney Hammond. But right before week 1, Rodney Hammond was ruled ineligible for the year. He's still a member of the team, still practices with the team. But the Panthers running back room with some holes at the moment. Perhaps a good thing that the Panthers are heading into a bye week and will have some time to get those who are banged up a little bit healthier.
Well, I think Daniel Carter has shown that he can be a great number 2 back with the way he's carried the ball this afternoon. And this allows them to develop depth at that position as well. And you said it, keeping Desmond Reed out of this ball game, get him healthy. We got the bye week next week. So that'll be 2 weeks where he's had an opportunity to heal and get ready as they go into conference play.
Ben Sauls from 49 yards out from Tippecanoe High School in Ohio. He is now 7 for 7 on the year. He says he's comfortable from 60 yards in with the wind at his back. He could go 62, 63. He has kicked a 68-yarder in practice. We saw him boom it from 67 yards before the game today with room to spare.
And he looked very comfortable kicking the football from that far. And that's a great weapon to have as they continue to progress through this season.
We touched on it earlier. He was a scholarship kicker as a freshman. That doesn't happen very often. He struggled and was behind a walk-on kicker as a freshman. And he gained the respect of Pat Narduzzi and his staff, Ben Sauls did, by going through the process, sticking with it, didn't quit, didn't transfer. And he has turned himself into one of the better kickers in the ACC. There's something to be said.
Well, when you need 3 points, you better call Saul.
You've been waiting to do that.
Absolutely. I've been waiting on you to give that one to me.
So now number 90 will kick it off for Pitt, enjoying a 45-17 lead on homecoming. And the Penguins will take over at the 25-yard line. Coming up tonight at 8 Eastern on ACC Network, the Boston College Eagles will host the Michigan State Spartans in Chestnut Hill. It's also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch from anywhere. Got to give credit to the student section. Forrest, you and I got here about 2.5 hours before kickoff, and they were standing by the hundreds in a driving rainstorm waiting to get through the gate. They have shuttle buses that go back and forth between campus down here in the North Shore downtown, and they were not deterred at all.
Well, I think they know they've got something special with this quarterback and with this football team.
Handoff to Ethan Wright. Gain of maybe 4. On first down, Nakai Johnson, 3-year reserve at defensive end, has moved inside this year, making the tackle. Another one of the locals on this Pitt roster out of West Mifflin High School. Yeah, you're right. The folks here in the Steel City understand that last year probably was a blip. It was a 3-win season. Now they're off to what looks like is going to be a 4-0 start.
And what makes it even more special, you've got a young quarterback, so you know he's going to be here. He's not going anywhere.
Bo Brungard under pressure, floats it up. Incomplete. Nicely done by the defensive back, getting that handover to Mon Lynham. Pressure being delivered by Nate Matlack, trying to chase down the quarterback.
And Lynham got away with the hand on the shoulder of the receiver to propel himself across his body to be able to knock that ball down. I'm surprised the officials didn't make the call right there. The official is right there.
Youngstown State has converted its last 3 third-down tries. After starting the game, only 2 of 7. On 3rd and 5, Brungard with a flag down completes the pass. Trow once again on the receiving end. It's going to come back.
I think illegal hands to the face.
Personal foul. Legal hands to the face. Offense. Right tackle. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. It's 3rd down.
And look at the bottom of your screen. What happens to tackles, you've got to sit down in your stance right there. He's overkicked right there, and he's trying to do whatever he can, but that's because he's not kicking back. He's opening that outside shoulder. Once again, something we've seen often from the tackles. Jason Williams is their best offensive lineman on the outside, but you've got to be a dancing bear on that edge when you're out on that island. You've got to be able to kick step. You've got to believe in your kick steps. Keep that shoulder square. If he gets to your edge like that, then you've got to get in run block mode, put your head down and just drive him, but you can't reach out with your hand, and you can't get that hand up under the face mask.
Yeah, Penguins head coach Doug Phillips told us on Thursday that Jason Williams will play in the NFL, will probably move inside, but they've got him playing tackle here on 3rd and a mile. The Penguins get some of that back on the pass play to Ethan Wright. There's big number 54, and I like that. His quarterback went over, patted him on the backside, said, "We're good."
Because he's trying to protect him. He's trying to do whatever he can to keep them off of his quarterback. And sometimes you'll take the penalty, you know, to not let a guy get a clean shot on your quarterback.
Of course. Wouldn't you every single time?
Absolutely.
Unless you didn't like the quarterback?
Well, well, I like my quarterbacks. You know, I liked Charlie Ward and Danny, you know, back in the day.
Kilpatrick. And Johnson is going to let that ball roll to a rest at about the 17-yard line. 53-yard punt, and gives us an opportunity to take a look at our Chick-fil-A college football rankings. The scores from today: Texas will take on ULM 8 o'clock tonight on SEC Network Plus. Georgia got the week off. Ohio State no trouble with Marshall. Alabama also off this week. Ole Miss and Georgia Southern tonight. How about Missouri trailing Vanderbilt 13-10? The Commodores got their season underway with a surprising win over Virginia Tech. They might have another surprise here.
And I think Georgia's happy to have an idle week after that tough ball game last week against Kentucky.
Out of the backfield, Daniel Carter was open. Instead, the pass intended for Williams, who couldn't haul it in. Now, Poppy Williams says, "I'm always open." Holstein gave the football and said, "You were open. Why didn't you catch it?"
I think Poppy heard footsteps on that play and made a business decision.
Well, this is his 3rd stop. Poppy Williams spent a couple of years at Western Carolina and then played last year at San Diego State, although he had no game action for the Aztecs. And so when Cade Bell left Western Carolina to come here to Pitt, he said, "Sign me up." Pass complete to Lee, another one of those former WCU players who followed Bell here to Pittsburgh. And it's just been an infusion of talent into this Pittsburgh offense that was lacking a year ago. Most importantly, a quarterback, but Reed, Williams, and Lee from Western Carolina have been a huge part of their success here in September. Williams motions into the backfield. Holstein goes to him again. He goes down after having picked up the 1st down. Poppy Williams with a 5-yard reception.
And Preston Zandier with the pressure again. He's been all over the field for this defense all afternoon.
And there are those 3 transfers. C.J. Lee, Sincere Lee, Holstein going to run for it. Near the first down marker again. Mekhi Shaheed on the stop after an 11-yard pickup that moves the chains.
And something you see now with the transfer portal, when you've got coordinators leaving and taking other roles at other schools, they bring their luggage, and you see the luggage working out very well for this team.
And I would think in the interview process that, as Lee was the receiver there, that would be part of the sales. If you're Cade Bell trying to convince Pat Narduzzi, not only are we going to run this offense, but I'm going to bring a lot of talent with me, that would be something you would sell for yourself.
I'm going to bring 2 wide receivers and a running back that can take the top off the defense.
Daniel Carter straight up the middle. Well, Pittsburgh will have next week off before opening up ACC play at North Carolina on October the 5th. And the Panthers are certainly right where they wanted to be coming into the year, thanks to Eli Holstein and company.
And when you look at Holstein, you don't realize how big this kid is. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. So he's very difficult to bring down for defenders. And as we said earlier, he spins the ball extremely well.
Well, he's the reigning Sean Alexander National Freshman of the Week, ACC Quarterback of the Week, and Freshman of the Week. Here goes Holstein again, making something happen with his feet. Inside the 30, inside the 20, inside the 10. With that size, finally dragged down from behind by Peyton Edwards after a 49-yard scamper.
I just talked about his size, 6'4", 230, but the way he sidesteps that defender, and then you see the speed up the field. He's trying to score. You got quarterbacks that run for first downs and quarterbacks that run for touchdowns. He is trying to get a touchdown on that play.
Going to try and run for a touchdown, and he's in. 2 yards on the score for Eli Holstein.
You see Holstein, he wants to go to the tight end, but the tight end is covered up, and he sees the edge, and he knows he can beat the defender to the pylon. Good decision by Holstein to keep that football and get to the pylon for the touchdown.
His second rushing touchdown of the day. Pitt has scored 5 on the ground. Ben Saul's back in. You know, Holstein doing it with his legs. He's not going to get to 300 yards passing. He's still under 250 as Pitt has done most of its damage here in the third quarter running the football.
But he's got to be close to 100 yards rushing at this point. 93 yards.
Yeah, on 9 carries.
I think he'll take that. 93 yards rushing, 247 passing, 5 touchdowns. Pretty decent day, wouldn't you say?
It sure is.
And you see right here, powering over for the touchdown, passing to the outside, getting the ball to his playmaker, Williams. Then here, the precision passing to the back of the end zone for Kenny Johnson. Right here, pass down the field, Lee, Sincere Lee, and then the speed, making a move, powering, getting to the 1-yard line, making a good decision, not throwing it to the tight end, and finding the pylon to get the touchdown. He's done everything, pass the football, run the football, make good decisions. That is what you want to see from your young quarterback. He may be Freshman of the Week again with this performance so far.
Sauls boots it away. It'll be another touchback. Again, Holstein began his Pittsburgh career throwing for 300 or more yards against Kent State, Cincinnati, and West Virginia. The first Pitt freshman ever to do that. Not Marino, not Van Pelt, not Pickett. Eli Holstein did it.
And he did it in comeback fashion the last 2 ball games against Cincinnati and West Virginia, 2 Big 12 opponents. And so when you look at that, you come into this ball game, if you're Youngstown State, you know what he's capable of throwing the football. And then he shows you what he can do running the football. So he's shown some dual threat ability, something I didn't know or think that he had. And you see his ability to run the football, and that gives defenses that they face moving forward something else to worry about and game plan for.
Tyshawn King, Ethan Wright, 2 running backs in, set up the screen. King using the block of Wright, but that play was sniffed out by Brandon George. and Tamon Lynham.
And you see the pursuit by this Pitt defense. They get up the field and they get on-ball carriers in space.
There's Elliot Donald, the nephew of Pitt legend Aaron Donald, from the same high school as Dan Marino and DeMar Hamlin. That would be Central Catholic right here in Pittsburgh. Big run by King. Got to the third level. Stopped at the 36-yard line after a first down run of 9.
You talk about some huge shoes to fill if you're Elliot Donald.
That was Ethan Wright, the ball carrier. Doug Phillips talked about the fact that Youngstown State does not have any byes this year, 12 straight weeks of football, and so it's even more important to have King and Wright share the load in the backfield. Front guard chased out of the pocket. Tomczak with the catch, takes a couple of pops. His progress is stopped after only a gain of 1 or 2 yards.
That's the end of the third quarter.
And that'll take us to the fourth quarter. In this matchup of FCS and FBS, it has been all Pittsburgh. These two campuses separated by only 69 miles, but a much bigger difference on the scoreboard here in Pittsburgh this afternoon. 52-17 Panthers. The ACC Command Center on the right has been hard at work all afternoon, and we're going to have a targeting call. Here's Justin Elliott.
After review, on the previous play, there was a personal foul for targeting Pitt number 5. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. Number 5 is disqualified.
That is P.J. O'Brien, the senior from Pompano Beach, Florida.
And watch, he leads with his helmet, and this is something that they want to move away from. You have to protect the players. You want to work on form tackling, and that means keeping your head up and keeping your head out of the tackle.
Hey, Jake,
what you want is for him to lead with his shoulder as opposed to the crown of his helmet. Good job by the officials identifying that.
I think Justin Elliott's microphone was still on there. We appreciate hearing the crown of the helmet clarification. But so now P.J. O'Brien is done for the rest of this day, and he will also miss the first half of the North Carolina game by rule on October the 5th. He's one of the big playmakers on this Pitt defense for defensive coordinator Randy Bates.
And it wasn't malicious, but once again, we're trying to protect the player, and you cannot lead with the crown of your helmet.
And again, you're protecting the player who was just ejected as much as you are the player that he hit.
Yes.
Tomczak in motion, and flags come flying.
Snap infraction. Offense, number 56. 5-yard penalty, first down.
10th Youngstown penalty. It seems like half have been against Aiden Parker.
I was just getting ready to say that. You know, when I played college football, when we had a penalty, you had to run 5 stadiums. Aiden Parker's working on his 20th stadium right now with these penalties.
Wow.
This is going to be one to forget.
Yep.
And that's not to take away from his ability to play football, because he's a really good football player. It's just a tough afternoon for him.
And it started right from the beginning for him.
The first 2 snaps went left for Parker.
Nowhere to run for Watley. Francis Brewu, the freshman from Westerville, Ohio. He was one of the guys who came in January and bonded very quickly with his classmates, Sincere Edwards and Zach Crothers. He and Edwards are on the depth chart, getting meaningful reps at a very young age. Brungard gets rid of the football quickly. Tomczak with another catch. His coaches just raved about his hands, his footwork. There's no question who the #1 receiver is for the Penguins this year.
And he's got good make-you-miss ability out in the open field. On that play, he's moving toward the sideline. The defender did a good job of forcing him out and not allowing him to plant that foot and get more north and south. That's what Tomczak wants to do when he gets the reception. He wants to plant that outside foot, which will allow him to cut back up the field. But the defender did a good job of riding him out and taking his momentum and getting him out of bounds.
A former walk-on who got a scholarship following a freshman year, and now he's the featured receiver for Youngstown State. On 3rd and 11, a low snap. Brungard still giving ground, throws off his heels, pass deflects, and falls incomplete despite the efforts of the unintended receiver, Luke Hensley.
And Brungard is trying to retreat because he's got immediate pressure. He wanted to get the ball out to Trowell. Put a little bit too much on it, but that's because the pressure. He's not able to step into his throw, so he's throwing off of his back foot.
And you could see Hensley calling for the football. He was wide open, but with Brungard under pressure, he couldn't get him the football.
And I think if he tried to throw it off of his back foot where Hensley was, that would have put himself in a position to probably throw an interception because defenders were closing in on Hensley.
Kilpatrick with another punt, trying to pin Pitt back inside its own 10-yard line, and it does. Kenny Johnson with a fair catch at the 8-yard line. The college basketball season tips off on Monday, November 4th. So on Tuesday at 7 Eastern, the Nothing But Net crew will look at every ACC school's upcoming basketball schedule for both men's and women's hoops. And it's only on ACC Network and the ESPN app. We've got an injured Penguin on the field after that punt by Kilpatrick. And it is the punter who is still receiving some treatment. We talked about the fact that Coach Capel has the Pitt men's basketball team looking forward to what should be another successful season over at the Pete. Once again, it's in the ACC all about Duke and Carolina. They are expected to be the teams to beat. We'll be talking about that quite a lot on the ACC Network coming up over the next few weeks and months.
And I think the punter's cramping. He's been doing a lot of work. He's had a lot of work this afternoon.
The round of applause here is for Eli Holstein, who has been taken out of the ball game after another tremendous performance, with Nate Yarnell taking over. The redshirt senior from Austin, Texas, has thrown 8 passes this year, completed 4 of them, all against Kent State in the season opener. He was the #1 quarterback going into camp, but Holstein came out as the #1. Yarnell's first pass attempt is to Kanate Mumpfield. 13-yard gain for the captain out of Houston, Georgia. All right.
And when you say #1 quarterback, he was the person that represented the team at Media Day, so they were planning on Yarnell being the guy.
Yarnell. Pass a little low, and it's incomplete. Day-Day Reynolds couldn't haul it in. Well, the final line for Holstein, 16 of 24, 247 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. More impressively, carried the ball 9 times for 93 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So 340 total yards with a hand in 5 TDs.
I think that's a pretty good afternoon.
I think so. And like you said, pretty good chance for him to be the ACC Freshman of the Week one more time. Big hole for Daniel Carter. 16 yards as his big day run of the football continues. He is now over 100 yards and counting for Pitt.
And what this does is just adds another dimension to this Pitt offense. You've got lightning with Desmond Reed, and now you've got thunder with Daniel Carter.
Yarnell with another pass completion to Mumpfield, who had been quiet through the first 3 quarters. But remember, last year, when Yarnell started a number of games for Pitt, it was Mumpfield who was Pitt's leading receiver. So they've got a connection. Mumpfield caught 44 passes for over 500 yards a season ago. Yarnell nowhere to go with it, so he's going to run. Takes a shot at the 45-yard line and dropped by Preston Zandier, who has had a effective day making plays for the Penguins defense.
I like this Zandier kid. He is all over he's an old school square chin football player. You know those old school guys that just love the game. They're playing the mud, they're playing the water, they don't care. That's what this guy represents to me.
All he's missing is a neck roll.
That's all he's missing.
Yarnell takes a bump, stands tall in the pocket, and completes the pass to Mumpfield. Makes a man miss. Mumpfield falls forward to the 28-yard line. It's a 14-yard pickup as the Pitt offense continues to produce yardage.
And a good job by Yarnell stepping up in the pocket, having confidence. His offensive linemen are going to protect and give him the time that he needs. And it started with the center and the guards. They gave him an opportunity to step up because they were stout at the point of attack.
Fake the handoff to Wabuku over the middle. Another pass completion. Yarnell has looked good. C.J. Lee with another reception. Second team All-SoCon a year ago at Western Carolina. Lee, a big part of the offense this year here at Pitt.
And Zandier comes from good DNA. His older brother played at Virginia, his older brother Zane. So this is a football family when you look at Zandier.
Yarnell pass a bit low. Incomplete. Lee couldn't make the play. Good coverage by DJ Harris, the junior from North Canton, Ohio. And a transfer from Division II Tiffin University in Northwest Ohio. Daniel Carter back in. You know, Nate Yarnell's from Lake Travis High School in Austin. That is just a quarterback factory. The list of quarterbacks out of his high school, remarkable. He completes that pass to Carter, and he's into the end zone for his third touchdown of the day. First time on a reception. Pitt just keeps on keeping on.
And more problems created for opponents down the line. Carter, he's running the ball effectively. Now he's catching the ball out of the backfield. He sneaks out into the flat. The defenders lose him in the mix, and he's able to get another touchdown. And this continues to be the development of this football team as they continue to develop talent, getting their hands on the football in the open field. This is going to be a tough team to game plan for moving forward.
He had 6 career touchdowns in 5+ seasons of playing for Pitt. He's got 3 today and counting. Pretty good afternoon for the young man from South Florida. Daniel Carter from 13 yards out on the pass from Nate Yarnell. I'm not sure I could do 59 push-ups, so I give credit to that young man right there. Most points scored for Pittsburgh since 2021 when they put 77 on New Hampshire. And that man's been in the middle of it all. Daniel Carter with 3 touchdowns. You know, he was a big get for Pat Narduzzi 6 years ago. He was offered by Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, LSU, Auburn, Oregon, etc. He picked Pitt.
We look at all the things that he can do. Catch the ball out of the backfield, run the ball very effectively, block and protect the quarterback. He can also lead block.
Flag on the return of Jaden Gilbert, redshirt freshman with terrific speed out of Elyria, Ohio.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 51. Penalties half the distance to the goal. First down.
That is Chris Samarone, a junior from Canfield, Ohio. Let's take a look at the afternoon of Daniel Carter.
Well, it started out early. He has the 24-yard touchdown run. You see the ability to make tacklers miss. And then if that wasn't enough, he said, okay, guys, I'm going to take it 43 yards. I'm going to switch hands, get the ball to the outside. Then I'm going to outrun all of the defenders to get to the end zone. And I want to catch the ball as well. I can catch it out of the backfield and dance and get to the pylon as well. So he's showing you everything you want to see from a running back as far as being able to handle the ball out of the backfield, read the blocks, get to the end zone, and outrun defenders on the outside.
Up the middle for a gain of 5 on first down. On the carry by Watley. You know, the presumption is that Daniel Carter is the thunder to Des Reed's lightning. I'm not so sure Carter is not both thunder and lightning. Maverick Gracio is down on the field.
Media timeout.
Injured for Pitt, so we'll take a break as well. Watch the right defensive end, number 39 in blue, Maverick Gracio, his left arm or shoulder.
Right there, gets caught in the mix.
And So he walked off under his own power, but clearly either that left arm or shoulder, he's in a lot of pain. And so the very good-looking redshirt freshman from West Palm Beach,
Florida. Please reset the game clock to 10-12. It'll start at my signal. 10-12,
2 years
please.
ago, as a high school
Thank you.
senior at Cardinal Newman, had 22 sacks. He had the big block punt last week against West Virginia. And so his afternoon is done. So is Bo Brungards, the quarterback for the Penguins. Max Blank in for the first time. Richard Dandridge, second reception of the game, the former Temple Owl. And there's Max Blank, 6'5" pocket passer, a sophomore from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He played in week 2 against Valparaiso with no stats. Getting an opportunity here with his team down 59-17.
And with Max Blank in the game, there's another player we thought we'd see this afternoon that we haven't seen as well. Brady Shannon, the other quarterback for Youngstown State. The coaching staff told us we were going to see him, but unfortunately we have not seen him this afternoon.
Andrew Jacobs, the motion man, rolling that way. Pass is caught at about the 18-yard line. And it is Andrew Jacobs, sophomore from Severn, Maryland, tackled by Jordan Bass. Well, now that Brungard is out of the game, the connection between his family and his head coach Doug Phillips goes back generations. The Brungard family farm is only about 15 minutes from campus, and when Doug Phillips was growing up, he would go and bay hail and pick berries and play pickup basketball on the Brungard farm. There's an interception. It's a pick 6 for Tamarian Crumpling. The fourth-year Panther out of Winton Woods in Cincinnati with a pick 6 as the Panthers' lead continues to grow.
And as a receiver, sometimes you have to help your quarterback. You've got to come back to the football. You see right here, Blank goes to the outside. The receiver kind of set there. You've got to go back and attack that football. It was underthrown, but you've got to help your quarterback on that play. Great job by Crumbly reading that, jumping that route, and getting to the end zone. But I still think if the receiver attacks that football and comes back to it, he can make a play on
it. Sauls with another point after. 66-17.
Watch your receiver on the outside. You've got to come back and fight for that. You've got to help your quarterback. There's a lot of hand fighting on the outside. I like the way Crumbly was fighting on the outside, making it a difficult route for him to run. But you can't turn around because the route didn't go exactly as you want it to. Reardon, you've got to come back and help your quarterback. You know he's going to come to you with that football. The way that route was designed, it was designed for you to get that football. He fought you on the outside. You've got to fight back through that defender and get back to your quarterback to give him a target to throw to.
Crumply receiving the recognition. You saw his head coach getting in there, giving him some love.
And the one thing I love about these defensive backs for Pitt, they get up in your face on the outside. They play press man. They're going to challenge you. And you see him fighting Reardon down the field all throughout that route. But in that 5-yard zone, he continued to fight him. He did not give him a free release.
Fair catch signaled. And Youngstown State will take over at its 25-yard line. 8:36 remaining in the fourth quarter on this homecoming at Pitt. All Panthers here this afternoon. And coming up later at 6:30 Eastern Time, the ACC Huddle crew will be back with highlights and complete breakdowns of all the afternoon games. Then they'll get you ready for Michigan State, Boston College at 8 o'clock Eastern on ACC Network. Actually, they are just underway since it is 6:33 Eastern. After that game, they'll have a full post-game wrap. It's all right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Substitution. Offense. 12-minute formation. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Another penalty against the Penguins. And as you mentioned a few moments ago, Forrest, we expected also to see the third quarterback for Youngstown State. Brady Shannon now has checked into the game. A UCF transfer who played baseball down in Orlando, and he's just getting himself into football shape, back into football shape, getting an opportunity to play here late in the fourth quarter. Cephas Harris, one of the reserve running backs for Youngstown State, getting a chance. We've seen Jaden Gilbert in there, Deshaun Watley, Ethan Wright, Tyshawn King. They've had some success running the football, but not nearly enough against this juggernaut today from Pitt.
Well, the way Pitt jumped out on them early, I think it got them out of their offensive philosophy of wanting to run the ball and run the clock and get time of possession, and they had to do things that wasn't a part of their game plan as far as throwing the ball as often as they did early.
That play was blown up. A couple of defenders all over it. Jordan Bass.
And also Isaiah Neal, number 97, great swim move to get past the defender. The offensive lineman. You've got to keep your head up. A lot of times offensive linemen try to fire out to get that good punch, that good hit, but if your head is not up, you've got a defender that's running a swim move or a rip move, they're going to get by you. So the linemen have to do a better job of seeing what you're blocking.
Only 46 yards rushing on 30 attempts for Youngstown State. Plus yardage for Brady Shannon. And he just signaled like they got a first down, but they just got back to the original line of scrimmage. Oops.
Just a bit short, Mr. Shannon.
Just a bit. So that'll bring up fourth down and long. And so the punt team comes back out. Brendan Kilpatrick. Low punt. Allowed to land. And come to rest at about the 15-yard line. It's a 64-yard punt. Here in Pittsburgh, we'll take a break. The Duquesne Incline overlooking the Steel City. 66-17, the home team enjoying homecoming. Back along the north shore of the Allegheny River here in downtown Pittsburgh. With Forrest Connolly, I'm Doug Sherman. Pretty good day to be hanging on a boat.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Sun's out. A small rainstorm early, but beautiful, beautiful day. And I think this Pitt team is having a beautiful, beautiful homecoming right now.
They sure are. No need for cardiac kids today. Wabuko takes the pitch and carries the football. Devin Johnson, one of the captains on defense for the Penguins, making the stop. It's remarkable what Pittsburgh has done the last 2 weeks at Cincinnati and then in the backyard brawl here last week against West Virginia, coming back from 21 down late third quarter to beat Cincinnati, and then coming back from double figures in the fourth quarter again to beat West Virginia. In fact, it was in the final 3 minutes that they scored those 2 touchdowns to win it. There will be no drama. And we asked Pat Narduzzi yesterday on the pass completion to Wabuko from Nate Yarnell. Sincere Lee, 108 yards receiving. Poppy's got 71. Flags down. We asked him, if you go to the fourth quarter and you're going to be trailing Youngstown State tomorrow by 10, should we say you've got him right where you want him? He didn't find the humor in that.
Did not. and it goes back to what he told us about playing this team and what he wanted to do.
False start. Offense. All 11 players were not set for a full second. 5-yard penalty. First down.
There again, the receivers. Mumpfield has had more production here in the second half to join Williams and Lee. Pretty good combination for Eli Holstein and now Nate Yarnell in the game. Yarnell in his first drive, 5 of 7 for 70 yards and a touchdown. Pittsburgh's got about 550 yards of total offense. Yarnell throws it down the sideline, just out of the reach of the diving receiver. Malachi Thomas, one of the tight ends, getting some reps here in the fourth quarter for Pitt. Thomas is a true freshman from Thomasville, Georgia, out of Thomas County High School. Yarnell completes another pass, this time to Zion Fowlerell, a redshirt freshman from Jersey City, New Jersey. His only game so far came against Wofford last year, but his coaches say that young man's got some ability. They think he will be a contributor down the road. Injured player down for Youngstown State.
4:51 in the game clock. 4:51 in the game clock.
Ebony Curry Jr., a redshirt freshman from Hamilton, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, gripping his right hand.
And one of the concerns for Youngstown State right now is health. We talked about them having, no bye weeks, playing a 12-game schedule straight through. You have to preserve your players at this point. You want to continue to compete, but you have to make sure you keep players healthy. That is a long season for these kids to have to go through without a bye week.
And this has been a rare non-competitive game between these two regional rivals. Usually when the Penguins come here to Pittsburgh, they give them a game. Last time was 2017 when they took Pitt to overtime. The Panthers won that game, but it's been all Pitt today. And every time I say the word Penguins here in the city of Pittsburgh, it seems weird because we should be talking about Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr and Sidney Crosby. The other Penguins, the hockey Penguins. More flags.
Movement by number 74.
Full start. Offense. Number 74. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And big fella, they're going to see you on the outside. 6'5", 315 pounds, Mr. Enos.
There's some Penguins. I guess Youngstown State's the only Division I athletic department in the country with the nickname Penguins. I don't think there are any Penguins roaming the streets of Youngstown, Ohio. But they are unique. Yarnell's pass, a little shy of the 1st down. Benny Hasselrig, a freshman from Hampton High School here in Pittsburgh, with his first reception. He joined Pittsburgh last year as a walk-on. And he is indeed a cousin of former Steelers and Jets offensive lineman Carlton Hasselrig. He's the 11th Pittsburgh player to catch a pass today. Room to run on the outside for Wabuko. In a foot race, he wins it. 57 yards for the redshirt sophomore from Austin, Texas.
And he hit the Karate Kid after he scored the touchdown. Watch the jump cut. Gets to the outside and then his speed to burn. If we even, I'm leaving. And he gets to the outside and he outruns all of the Youngstown State defenders. And watch he does the Karate Kid at the end, just for show. Yes. Gotta love it.
No chance for DJ Harris or Isaiah Crozier to catch up with the speedy Che Wabuko. And so now we have a different place kicker as Ben Sauls has seen plenty of time. Jake McConaughey. No, excuse me, that is Sam Carpenter with that PAT as we take another look at the touchdown.
And Michael Wells, number 8, had an opportunity to make a play in the backfield, but you see the ability to make him miss, and then the jump cut to the outside, then the speed. So you see jump cut, you see speed, you see vision. I mean, you see all of the intangibles that you look for in a back, and we've seen that from several backs. And we have not seen the top back, the best back on the team, Reed. So that lets you know the depth that they're developing at that position for this Pitt ball club.
Well, we were told that Wabuko ran a 10.29 back in high school. I think we just saw a taste of that.
Yes, we did.
6 plays, 85 yards, explosive plays all day long from the beginning to the end. As Pittsburgh now leads 73-17. Again, it's the most points they have scored since putting 77 on New Hampshire 3 years ago. The 73 ties for the 4th most points scored by an FBS team this year. And we've still got 3.5 minutes to go.
The more things change, the more
Georgia, Alabama next Saturday night, 7:30 on ABC. Big opportunity for Kalen DeBoer, the new head coach of the Crimson Tide, after taking over for the great Nick Saban. Deshaun Watley with the carry for the Penguins.
And the football schedule gods did us a great favor by having both of those teams have an idle week this week to rest and prepare. So they both were going to this game healthy and ready to go. The game plans will definitely change from what we've seen so far from both of those ball clubs. I cannot wait for that game.
And 7:30 next Saturday night on ABC. Jaden Gilbert back into the game at running back. He's among the fastest Penguins. He stands alongside Brady Shannon. Shannon gives it to Gilbert, who has stood up after a gain of 4. David Ojebwe, number 17 for Pittsburgh, got a flag down.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 32, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So that is on the Clemson transfer, who appeared in a couple of games last fall for the Tigers, first year with Pittsburgh. Well, in the preseason poll, which coaches almost always poo-poo, Pitt was picked to finish 13th in the ACC this year. They do not look like a 13th place team to me.
Well, it seems that they've got it all wrong with the preseason picks for the ACC. They picked Florida State to finish number 1.
Yeah, that hasn't worked out.
It hadn't worked out well at all. They picked Virginia to finish, I think, 16th.
They had Stanford last, and they picked up another nice win last night up at Syracuse. So, yeah, certainly seems like Miami's the team to beat at this point.
The way Clemson is playing right now, I think they're an interesting team. They've kind of gotten it back together.
That is the 2-minute timeout.
And this Pitt team is going to have a say-so as well.
I think so. We have reached the 2-minute timeout. After a bye week, Pittsburgh will open ACC play on the 5th of October at the University of North Carolina. The Tar Heels took it on the chin today. The Panthers will have a chance to get fully healthy, hopefully. Carry there by Jaden Gilbert for the Penguins with under 2 minutes to go.
You're being nice. They didn't take it on the chin. They got taken to the woodshed.
They gave up 70 points.
53 in the first half.
Talk about some wild stats. Pitt today has 644 yards of total offense, and yet Youngstown State has possessed the football 13 minutes longer than Pitt.
Well, Pitt has had a bunch of chunk plays. They've had big plays all over the field, whether it be passing the ball or running the ball. They've been very effective with this offense.
Harris with the carry. Ojebwe made the tackle. Well, these two schools also get together in men's basketball and in other sports. Keep in mind, again, it's just over an hour drive northwest of here. Youngstown's right on the Ohio-Pennsylvania state line. And in men's basketball, in 3 of the last 4 matchups between the Penguins and the Panthers, Pitt scored under 73 points. There's a lot of points here today. Again, the 4th most in FBS so far this season. That was Thomas Aiden, number 91, getting an opportunity, a sophomore from Lakewood, Ohio. And that will do it. Doug Phillips' team takes one on the chin today and drops to 1-3. Meanwhile, Pat Narduzzi wearing that shirt and tie in memory of his late father, Bill, the former head coach of the Penguins, who he played for back in 1985. It means something. It's special for him here today as they move to 4-0.
Well, he wanted this one for obvious reasons. For his dad, you see him wearing the tie and the button-up shirt, you know, representing for his father. He also wanted to continue what they've been doing this season, 4-0 for the first time in a while. They're doing really good things with this program. They found their quarterback, I think they have, and they've got talent all around him. And we saw more talent come out of this offense today. I think they are going to be a team to be reckoned with as they continue to push through the season and they get into conference play.
And I like what I just saw. Pat Narduzzi went and found his former player, Stephon Hall, who spent the last 3 years at Pitt, now at Youngstown State. Went over, found him, gave him a big post-game hug. From start to finish, Eli Holstein and the Panthers delivered. Holstein had 5 touchdowns today, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground. He ran for 93 yards, threw for 247. First time the redshirt freshman hasn't gone for 300 in the air, but it didn't matter. He was tremendous. Pittsburgh rolls 73-17 for Forrest Connolly. I'm Doug Sherman saying so long from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, PA.